Hello and welcome back to the Archives with RSM. I am Marcus and these are my co-hosts Mystic, Kai, and Alpal. Thanks for joining as always.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, and this is definitely going to be a fun one. Well, for you guys, not for me because of my lack of experience and memory. But today we will be discussing pre-2000s Disney animated movies, going back to the classics. So we should get right into it. I chose to pick a few that were most memorable to me to write about. So my previous experience that I can remember with Disney movies of this era is quite clouded. I remember very little, but I did grow up with them and loved the ones that I do remember. For example, 1937's Snow White. I remember, I think this one would also be my least favorite just because as a kid I remember being creeped out by the evil witch and the dwarves. I don't know why, don't ask, I cannot tell you. But I also liked it because of the song, the little characters, like their names. Oh, I'm going to blank on that. Sneezy, uh, Grumpy, Derpy, or
Dopey.
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 Dopey, same thing.
Derpy. That'd be me if
Basically.
I was a
That's
dwarf.
that's My Little Pony.
Oh, oh, that's
Now I
probably why
want
I'm
to see
thinking of it.
fan art of Dopey and Derpy. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And
I
uh,
would definitely be Derpy.
yes, and also Alice in Wonderland, which is one of my favorites because of all the characters and the colors. And I remembered like I want to be in that world. It would be so fun to walk around in that world and eat those little cakes or snacks that she eats to grow and shrink.
Do you, I was gonna say, are you sure about that?
No, I think
Yes,
it'd be really fun. You're just walking around, you see a drink, oh, let's drink this, and then you just get really
That would
tall. I think that'd
freak
make the
me
day really
out.
interesting. Mhm.
maybe
That
I
would
would.
freak me out. Like I love Alice in Wonderland, don't get me wrong, but I would not feel secure eating anything in that world if I was
I
there.
would definitely want to go
Yeah.
have a tea
Be
party
over
with the
at that
Mad
point.
Hatter, and of course I would stay away from that bug that smokes the bong. Or is it a
Who
hook?
It's the
are
caterpillar.
you?
Caterpillar, yeah.
Yeah, who? Oh, I can quote entirely too much from that movie. It is killing me to not bust out into one of the songs right now.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd,
that was a good movie.
Also, it would be awesome because
I
I
think
would get to fight the Jabberwock. I would want to fight the Jabberwock.
Well, here's the thing about that. Actually, in the 1951 version,
Mm-hmm.
there is no Jabberwock.
Really?
They were uh time for me to show my nerdism on this. Um, so if you get the deluxe DVD, they actually tell you they did plan a Jabberwocky scene, but Disney was still alive at the time, and it's not really understood which it was, but it's thought that he considered the section either too long or too scary, so they cut it,
That makes
which is
sense.
unfortunate.
yeah.
Wait,
I think
was Sleeping Beauty made like wait while Disney was alive? I forget what
Yes.
year that he died.
He
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he died in the 60s, I believe. I'll have to look at the exact year, but I believe he died in the 60s because he was alive during the development of Walt Disney World, but he died before its completion. And Disney World was completed in 1971, I think it was. He
Oh,
would have died in the 60s. I think it was here. I'll just look it up. I'll just look it up really quick because that's going to drive me crazy.
yeah, because I know that scene with the dragon at the end. I mean, that's pretty scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
December 15th,
you're not wrong.
1966, he died.
Got
Wow.
it.
I think though my favorite line in Alice in Wonderland is when they're at the Mad Tea Party, and they're talking
Mhm.
about having unbirthdays,
Mhm.
and Alice is like, "Oh, then it's my unbirthday too," and the Mad
Two.
Hatter's like, "What a coincidence!"
What a
I love
small
that so
world
much
this
because it's
is.
like that's like it would be a coincidence to have your birthday on the same day. It's like having your unbirthday on the same day is like not a coincidence. But I love that scene so much.
It's Wonderland. It's a world of nonsense. So of
I
course they
know.
think, well, they're the people that are like, oh, if you have the same birthday, that's not a big deal to them. But having the same unbirthday is, because it doesn't make any sense.
Could you
That's exactly why.
I don't
No, I
remember
I love it
this.
so
Could you?
much.
I don't remember this. Could you explain what an unbirthday is?
Wait.
I don't.
Oh my.
Keep in mind
Wait, I'm
that
trying to.
It's been forever since I've seen these movies. It's been
No.
forever since I've seen the live
funny
action
thing
one.
Four
about that.
unbirthdays.
Okay, I'm going to
Yeah,
essentially be quoting the March Hare, excuse me, word for word with
I
this.
was about to say.
She doesn't know what an unbirthday is. When you have a birthday, you and then they break out into the song. Okay, so statistics prove that you've one birthday. Imagine just one birthday every year, but there are 364 unbirthdays. That's why we're gathered here to cheer. And then they do the unbirthday song, which I probably shouldn't do because we don't need a copyright strike.
Yeah, please. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so your unbirthday is just any day that is not your actual birthday.
that is.
My
Right.
unbirthday.
It is also my unbirthday too.
Oh my god, what a
Yeah.
coincidence.
What a small world it is. That's the closest I'm gonna get to a Mad Hatter impression.
Of course, another movie that I loved and I still love is The Lady and the Tramp.
Oh,
Great
my sister's
movie.
obsessed
Love
with
it.
that movie.
And of course, there's a Little Mermaid, and another one that's was one of my tops, Hercules. I remember loving the soundtrack, the music, and stuff. And those are just to name a few that I remember very well. Keeping in mind I haven't seen most classics since I was little, I know a lot of people that watch this are going to think, are you out of your damn mind? Yes, I am. I've been told.
Like it's fair though, because some people are more like me and Allie, where we grew up in a Disney house, and that's like a thing that's been most of our lives. But not everybody's like that. There are people that are more like you, where Disney was like a part of their childhood, but it didn't really follow them that much into adulthood. At least not to the point where they're rewatching stuff constantly, and like that's fair.
Right.
Yeah, for me, like it definitely was like a big part of my childhood. Like, I mean, I still have all the classic VHS releases. I think going from
I have
gosh,
I have a few of the VHSs and a few Pixar ones as well. They're in my cabinet right now, and I wish I had a VHS player.
yeah,
But I
and
don't
it
know
was
if
like
they would still work or not because it's been forever. The tapes
yeah,
are
and
are completely intact. They're pretty much mint condition.
As long as the tapes are intact, and the player is working properly, then yeah, they should be fine. Because I don't have any of the Disney ones on me. We have them. I just don't know where they are. But I have some other like VHS tapes, and I actually have a 2-in-1 VHS and DVD player, and it like as long as the tape is in good condition, then yeah, you're fine.
Right. What about you, Kai? What about you for your life growing up with the Disney movies?
I do know that they were really a big part like of my childhood, especially like having the tapes. I think the first Disney movie that I saw, I think it was Snow White, and I barely remember like just vague memories of being in the living room and seeing it playing like on the TV.
Right.
And I I remember the part where the dwarves um were pushing the boulder on the witch, and I
Oh
just remember
yeah,
being
I remember that.
genuinely afraid of what was playing on the TV and like not enjoying it very much.
Well, they actually didn't push the boulder on the witch. The witch was trying to, like,
It onto them.
yeah, she was at the very top of
Oh.
the hill and she was trying to get on them, but a lightning
no,
struck and then it backfired and, you know.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I
that's
liked
right.
She
Dwarves'
essentially pushed it
determination.
onto herself.
But the dwarves
Right.
would have. They were determined. They were like, let's go kill this person. They were like, you gotta give
They
them
were
credit.
not nice about it.
Yeah,
They
let's
they
kill
saw
this
her
thief.
dead and they're like, let's go kill a bitch.
Yeah.
For real, like,
I mean, she tried to kill Snow White, and they had grown pretty attached to her. So, like, I don't blame them.
I don't either. I just love it. Like for a Disney movie, that's pretty hardcore. They were like, okay, we're gonna go kill her now.
to be honest, most of these
Yeah.
classics, the original stories were much darker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
for
ever
sure.
read the Grimm brothers version of Snow White, the evil queen gets her comeuppance a lot more than that.
I know
Oh my
that
god, Sleeping
one.
Beauty, it's so like the original Sleeping Beauty is so awful.
Was
Yeah,
it
from
the
what
I need to
what
go
I've
back
heard.
and
Was
read the
it
original
the
version of that
original
one.
Snow White where they invited the witch and made her wear like hot iron shoes or something?
Yep. They made her.
Yeah.
They made her wear like weird shoes that I don't remember, and then dance on like hot iron coals until she fell down dead.
Yeah, they had a weird. Yeah, there was a weird sense of humor back in that time.
I mean, they
Almost
were
makes
also
you wonder what was up with Mr. Walt Disney mentally. Like these are
Yeah.
some dark
that's a
stories
separate
you want.
story. That's a
I know
separate
like
story.
the original Sleeping Beauty, the prince instead of kissing her, he kind of does other stuff.
Yes, without
Oh.
saying
And
the R
the,
word.
the reason she wakes up is after she gives birth because
Jesus.
Got
she
it.
had something stuck under her like nail, and one of the babies was like suckling on it and got it out, and then she woke up.
Got
like,
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so she
I mean, like
gave
it's weird, but
birth
at least
while
you
she
have
was
to
still
like if you
asleep.
put the positive spin on like, oh, her kid saved her.
Yeah, but she didn't even know she had kids until she woke up.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, that's kind of like 50 First Dates.
Huh.
Actually, spoilers.
Oh, I know what movie you're talking about. I've actually seen that movie way more than you probably think I would have because
Yeah,
my
same.
mom likes it, so I watch it. I walk in on her watching it a lot.
I
Yeah.
don't think I have
Yeah,
seen that.
we're
I was thinking about
It's an
what
Adam
it could
Sandler
be, but
movie.
I got it mixed up with another movie.
yeah, because girl has amnesia and like short-term memory loss, and every day like is just a new day, and she has to remember everything all over again.
Yeah, and like she falls in love with that Adam Sandler character, but obviously that relationship is a lot weirder than a normal one because of that.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Disney movies.
Right.
Sorry, I derailed the conversation.
Oh, it's alright.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, what about is that all you had to say for like the Disney movies you grew up?
Yeah, I mean those were like the earlier memories that I had,
Right.
and yeah, I think the movies that I remember watching in theaters was The Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Huh. Oh man.
and
I don't even
I
know if I've seen any in theater. Well, no, I don't think I've seen any in theaters. Like back in that time.
because I vaguely remember like we were watching the movie, and then it to that Hellfire song like at that part, and
Parts.
I explicitly remember like my parents taking me out of the movie theater because
Oh boy.
they were singing Hellfire in the movie, and
Speaking of that, oh, go ahead.
yeah, and so that's all I remember from the movie, and then it wouldn't be like years later that I actually like went ahead and watched the whole thing, and it was like, oh yeah, this is a really good movie. Like
That
how
is
dare my
literally
parents?
that is literally one of my favorite Disney movies, and I could honestly probably do a whole podcast just on that movie. 'Cause First of all, Frollo is like the most evil villain.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed.
it goes beyond just like wanting to kill a princess. He literally wants to commit mass genocide.
Yeah.
Do awful things to Esmeralda.
And he's
Yeah,
also
like
just straight
either-
up racist.
Yeah, it's
with
like either
Romani.
it's like
And
either
Which one
be
is
my
this
wife
for?
or die.
Hunchback in Notre Dame.
Oh,
And it's kind of,
I don't know if I've
you know,
seen that one.
anytime
I think
I
I saw
talk
the
about this
second one.
movie,
I think I saw the
the
sequel.
second one's awful. But
I hated
Yeah,
it.
most of it.
talk about
I
this
was-
movie.
I was definitely afraid of the Hunchback. I definitely remember having
So I-
nightmares.
Yeah, so I've also read like the original story by Victor Hugo because he's one of my favorite authors. I know in the literature one I've talked about that, and I might have said this in. Frollo does everything in the name of God.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny, especially when you look at Esmeralda when she sings her song. You know, it
Mhm.
kind of shows how corrupt
Huh.
religion can be. And I also talk about this when I talk about Les Mis, because if you've ever seen that, it's kind of the same thing with Javert. You know,
Mhm.
these people, these holy men, are doing things in the name of God. And it's just kind of funny to see someone like Esmeralda who probably doesn't. She doesn't say she doesn't believe in God, but she doesn't know if he's there or not. So it's kind of funny to see how different they are and how their different views kind of shape them.
Yeah, like if I'm not mistaken, I think like The Hunchback was like one of the first movies to like actually like address like this sort of injustice that existed like within uh a domination like this predomination that like already existed within like Disney as a whole, because like when like a lot of people they think of Disney, they think, oh, like good, you know, Christian, like, you know, not Christian entertainment, but like the people who operated Disney were predominantly Christian. And the fact that they would make this movie showing like, you know, like celebrating like the elements of Christianity, but at the same time just showing the darker nature that existed within the like its like infrastructure. Like I think that it was a really like bold move of them to go in that direction.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because when Victor Hugo did write The Hunchback of Notre Dame, it was to kind of call France out on its, you know, on how they do things, their discrimination and stuff. So I'm really glad when Disney, because you know, a lot of Disney movies they do change original stories, and of course they changed the original story for Hunchback. It's not the same as the original, but
Yeah.
it still has the same like moral, the same issues, and I really appreciate it. And I love that movie so much. It's just, and the music and the graphics, it just, the stained glass looks like actual stained glass. I love it so much, and don't get me started on the sequel because you
Yeah.
don't want to hear that rant. It's a
We're,
long
The
we're
one.
gonna get to
sequel
it. We're gonna get to it.
good.
It's on the list.
Oh no. Even not only is the animation crappy, the songs are crappy. One of the characters just isn't who he was from the first movie.
We'll get
And the
there. We'll get
stupid-
there,
We'll
Allie.
get there.
I'm
Yeah, that's-
sorry. I hate that movie so much.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's
what you
okay.
get for
I think we can all agree that. I think most people would agree that, generally speaking, the direct-to-video sequels are just not very good.
And
least
don't
some
get me
of 'em.
started on the bell because I'm gonna go on a rant about that.
yeah, majority of them are poo poo. But
Some of them-
there's a couple of gems in there
Some
that
of
I
them are
that I
pretty good,
like.
but most of them I wouldn't pay money to see.
Yeah, see, like
Actually,
generally,
I'd burn a lot of them.
generally the Cinderella sequels are seen as pretty okay.
The third one's amazing. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people don't like the second one, but I do. And the third
Well,
one's
well-
just. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
to.
myself.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out while we're here. We'll definitely discuss more as we get to each one.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
No, it's
getting ahead
okay.
of myself.
But what other
No,
Yeah.
I think we've all gotten a little ahead of ourselves a few times.
what other movies do you remember growing up with Alpal?
Oh my god. I
It
really
might be faster for her to say the one she doesn't remember growing up with.
no. I've seen most of them. I grew up on a lot of them. I don't think there were many of them that I didn't watch until I was older. I think The Sword and the Stone I didn't watch till I was older. But that might have been the only one. All the other ones I've seen at least once because I grew up in a very, very, very Disney household.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Point where we had pretty much all of them.
Which ones were most memorable then, I would say?
Oh my goodness.
Huh.
It still doesn't really narrow it down for me.
Well, oops.
I know. Here, I'll just end with this. My favorite one is probably Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
the
know a lot of
box
people
one.
don't like that one because they reused a lot of animation from like Snow White or The Jungle Book, but I really like that one.
Yeah, I
And
remember liking that one too.
yeah, I think if I had to pick one out, that would be the one that kind of stood out the most. But it's a lot harder than that because I liked a lot of them a lot. And we don't need this podcast to be 6 hours, so I think I'll end it there.
That's why we're breaking it up into a series.
Yeah, there's just too much Disney to squeeze everything into one podcast.
Yeah, but for right now, like the way that we're breaking it down is we're just doing the studios,
About as
the Walt
perfect
Disney
as we can
Animation
get.
Studios and the Disney Movie Tunes Studios, the ones that did the direct to VHS
Right.
Yeah, we should probably tell
sequels.
the people watching what we're actually covering today. That would be, imagine that. That's a novel concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing just Walt Disney Animation, Walt Disney Animation Studios. I said that right, and Disney Toon Studios from the release of Snow White, which was the first one in 1937, all the way up to um, the last movie of 1999, which was Winnie the Pooh: Seasons of Giving.
Yep.
And then we'll do a future podcast where we do all the animated movies that were released after that from those studios.
Yeah, right.
I
Oh, what
think
about
Disney Toon is actually closed down now, but that's beside the point.
yeah? What about the Pixar and
Yeah,
Jack
I think we had
Jack
discussed doing
Skellington?
one on just the Pixar movies too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
because that they have a good amount of them, and you can go really deep with them. I'm gonna go really deep.
Oh,
Yeah, especially
for
because
sure.
they kind of yeah. And then I think we had also discussed doing one on like the Disney parks because that can be a whole thing by itself. The live action movies because that could definitely be a whole thing by itself.
Yeah.
Holding back a lot of commentary there.
Right. But what about for
Trust me, I
you,
know.
Mystic? Which ones were most memorable for you growing up?
Uh, Yeah, so I'm a lot like Allie. I grew up in a fairly Disney household. I think hers was a little bit more Disney than mine because I know, like looking over the list, I know there's still a lot of these that I've only seen like once or I never saw them. But probably, I think the one I remember as like my first Disney movie was probably The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh on
Oh,
It's so
DVD.
good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. Um, There was so much, it's hard for me to remember. I also know The Little Mermaid is an early one. Um, Fox and the Hound. I'm just naming ones that I remember off the top of my head that I saw as a little kid. Um, Definitely Alice in Wonderland, if you couldn't tell.
Of
I was
course.
waiting for you to mention that. I thought you would have said that first. I was like,
Yeah,
this
well, like
is.
the thing is I don't think I saw that one when I was like really little. I think I was a little bit older before I saw that one. But when I say that, I mean I don't think I saw that one when I was like 4 or 5. I think I didn't see that one until I was like 7, maybe. I could be mistaken. But obviously, it is one of my favorites. I know Cinderella was also one of my favorites when I was a really little kid. That one and Sleeping Beauty, but mostly Cinderella.
I love
Um,
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, I
those
have
are the ones
a
that
few.
stick. Oh, Aristocats, because it's funny.
Oh
I
yeah.
actually didn't really like Aristocats when I was little, but my mom did. My mom loved it, so we ended up watching it a lot. And now, obviously, I love it. It's funny how that worked out. And you'd think I would have loved it when I was a little kid too, because hello, cats. But I think maybe I just saw it too much because my mom wanted to see it so much and it annoyed me. I don't remember.
Yeah, Aristocats was definitely a movie for its time. Just as far as the animation and the music, just
Hmm.
the style. I love that movie. That's one of the movies that I have in my cupboard with the VHSs. I watched that movie a lot and I really liked it.
Yeah, apparently,
Actually,
I
I
think if
think
I
I have
remember
that one
correctly,
as well.
critics didn't like it a lot.
I'm not absolutely in love with the Aristocats, but I don't dislike it at all.
Well,
I
it's
think
not. I will say it's not even my favorite Disney movie. That goes squarely to Alice in Wonderland, but it is like right up there for me just because it's just a fun time. You know,
yeah.
like it's not the movie you watch when you want a really solid, deep plot. It's the movie you watch when you wanna see a cute cat love story and you wanna sing a silly song about everybody wanting to be a cat.
Hey, you have to
Yeah,
give it to O'Malley. I mean,
Yeah, he's a great
he's
guy.
a great guy. I mean, because I know in like these times it's kind of a little daunting for someone to date someone with kids, but
Oh
like
yeah.
he was all in. He was great about it. I love him.
Yeah, like I would not personally want to date someone with kids just because I don't want any of that. Sorry. But he he falls for Duchess and then he finds out she has three kids and like he's cool with it. He never once turns his nose up at those kids and like he really kind of steps in as a father figure to them and he barely knows them. Like how many guys would actually do that, you know?
Find you a man who will do that.
Yeah, find you a man that will love you like O'Malley loves Duchess and her three kids.
he was a cool cat.
Ha ha.
Nice. Totally didn't see that one
Somebody had
coming.
to do the cat pun.
I think all of the ones I have on VHS are Finding Nemo, The Lion King, Fox and Hound, Aristocats, Snow White, Lilo and Stitch, Cinderella, and Pocahontas.
I love Lilo and Stitch. That's recently become one of my favorite Disney movies. I always cry. Like, I always sob when like Stitch is about to leave and Lilo's like everyone leaves and I'm like this is deep for a kids movie.
And
This
of
is
course, I have
really good.
Disney Pixar movies on VHS: Toy Stories 1 and 2, and hold on. Oh, and A Bug's Life, which I don't really care. Didn't really care for Bug's Life that much.
I'm gonna go on
Yeah,
my Bugs Life thing when we talk about Pixar movies because that's one of my favorite movies and I'm really tired of everyone disliking it. But
I
I won't
don't
get into
Yeah,
that right
I,
now.
I have
I will
I
say I don't actively dislike A Bug's Life. I'm kind of apathetic towards it, which is weird because I think I really liked it when I was a kid. I don't know what
yeah
happened.
yeah
I'm gonna go
I
with
have a
my
lot to I have a lot to say about Pixar in general that I really liked, but we'll save that for another time.
Right.
Okay.
What about the
So, what other? Oh, go ahead.
what about the Winnie and the Pooh movies? Did you guys like that? Because I remember loving the Winnie and Pooh.
I love Winnie the Pooh so much. Actually, the first movie I ever saw in theaters was the Heffalump movie.
Oh
That
yeah,
that was the first movie I ever saw in theaters, and I love Winnie the Pooh. It's just so so precious and sweet.
Yeah, Winnie the
And
Pooh was a large part of my small childhood, like before we got cable, so up until I was like 7, because we had so many Winnie the Pooh VHS tapes.
Huh.
And
I
it
think
sucks
so many
because,
of them.
well, like we had because they had like a TV series, and oh my gosh, that theme song is gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the day now. Um, but like it's actually, I don't know if they put that series on Disney Plus or not, but if they didn't, then that sucks because it's already extremely hard to find the Winnie the Pooh like VHS tape series online. I mean, maybe that was on purpose, Disney, but
Right.
uh, my only gripe though with most of the movies that got theatrical releases is they changed the animation style, even
Yeah.
sometimes even when it wasn't necessary, like it wasn't the big jump, in technology.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you do that? Because there's something charming to me, the animation for like the series, and I'm like, why didn't you
Right.
just use that?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Christmas Winnie the Pooh special?
I think that's the last one, the Seasons of Giving, and I'm almost positive I've seen it, but I do not remember it very well.
Oh,
I
that one's
don't
so
think I
precious
did.
to me. Because he's
Yeah, I
trying
don't
to deliver Christopher Robin's um
Christmas present, right?
Christmas, the
Yeah.
letter to Santa.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
And I love Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore is my spirit animal.
Dude,
And
I
Yeah.
had a little purple plaid Winnie the Pooh dress when I was a kid.
oh,
I wore the crap out of that thing, and I even um I will unashamedly admit this on the internet. I think I actually wore it a couple times when I got older as a top when,
I
it's
love
way
that.
too small to be a dress anymore.
I approve.
Honestly, if I knew where it was, I'd probably still be doing that just because that's the type of gal I am. But I have no idea where it went. I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
Tigger was definitely my spirit animal.
I
T-I double
also
gut
That's spells Tigger. I also really
Yeah.
relate to Rabbit because he's just trying to live his best life, and Tigger's just always. But
I'm lame. I just liked Pooh and Piglet a lot, and I was just mad at Rabbit all the time.
well, here's what I love so much about Eeyore because obviously, as you're watching it when you're older, you can tell Eeyore's kind of depressed,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
but his
Yeah.
friends never like make him feel bad about it. They always invite him to things. They're always having fun. They never comment on it. They're
Right.
just happy to be with him, and I love that.
Yeah, or like if they do comment on it, they're trying to be supportive and like help
Yeah.
him out.
They're never like, "Oh, Eeyore, you suck because you're not having fun when we're having this picnic." You know?
Yeah, and
They're
they're
just
and sometimes they do let like Eeyore pick what they're gonna do, and like even if it's just, oh, I want to count my thistle collection or something, they don't like, oh, that sounds boring. No, like they go along with it because they're good friends.
yeah, I think that's why I love Eeyore so much, is just because he obviously is like, he goes through stuff and he just, his friends just love and accept him the way he is, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's very sweet.
But that's enough me.
Huh.
Gosh, like just like
Yeah,
rambling about why I love Eeyore so much.
yeah, what was that one movie? It was I'm looking on the list. It was The Search for Christopher Robin in in 97. Was that like a because I'm trying to remember, was that the one where Christopher Robin goes missing
Yeah, I
and
think so.
they have to go find him?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been a long time since I've seen this one. Doesn't he just like move or go to his grandma's house or something?
I
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying
something
to
small like that. Like he wasn't actually missing, but it's sweet
yeah.
how his friends like went above and beyond trying to find him.
Yeah, because doesn't he leave a letter saying like he's going somewhere, but instead like Owl misinterprets what the letter says and makes it out to be that Christopher Robin was captured by this monster or something. Or was
Yeah,
that a
here,
different
I'm
movie?
looking it up right now to make sure, because I feel like I would remember it if I heard the plot. So,
Yeah, because
see.
he basically just mispronounces the words in the letter, and it just creates this entirely different narrative to
Yeah.
what Christopher Robin wrote versus what Al interprets.
Owl's just trying to live his best life. He's trying his best.
I think Owl was definitely one of my other favorites.
Yeah, he was the smart one in
Oh,
the
okay.
bunch.
So I'm looking at the plot. Do we want me to spoil the search for Christopher Robin?
Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Spoiler.
So, Christopher Robin, he can't bear to tell them this sad news in person, so he leaves a note, and you're right, Al totally misinterprets what it is. Um, he thinks he's gone someplace called Skull, and that makes
Yeah,
a lot more sense when you consider. So the news is that Christopher Robin has to go back to school.
yeah,
Skull, school, get it? I
yeah,
mean, not like it's a joke, get it, but like, yeah. So that's what happens,
I
and
think
that's
it
why
kind
they
of
go
just
look.
reminds. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the whole thing I mentioned with the dwarves. You know how determined they were to kill the witch. You know, but when they think Christopher Robin's gone, they just try really hard to find him, and I just think that's so sweet.
Yeah,
No.
like the if you want to take the literal reading of it, it's like, oh, your stuffed animals will always look out for you and try to find you if you go missing.
yeah.
Actually,
We've
That's
already
like
seen in
that's
Toy
like the
Story that our toys love us.
yeah,
that
that's like the
never
live
occurred to me, that
action Pooh
connection there,
movie.
that Winnie the Pooh is essentially Toy Story before Toy Story.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I
Wait,
never
oh
thought about it
no,
like
no,
that.
I did this to myself. Now I want the Winnie the Pooh characters to make a cameo in a Toy Story movie. I don't even like Toy Story that much. Before everybody assaults me, I said that much. I don't hate it.
No,
Again, I'm just
I
kind of
already knew that.
apathetic towards it. I'm
No, I
apathetic
knew
towards a
that.
lot of the Pixar movies, honestly.
Killing me.
Oh wait, there's another movie that I just remembered. I don't see it on the list for some reason. It's The Brave Little Toaster. Um,
Okay, because
I've never heard of it.
Didn't Disney
that was
buy out?
that was like published by Disney, but it was really like an independent studio working on it.
oh, got it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
That
why.
because
movie
because
low
when
key
you mentioned
traumatized me.
when you
Oh yeah.
mentioned Toy Story, like and the inspiration behind it, that was making me that was making me think of like The Brave Little Toaster, if that had anything to do with
I have
like
never heard of
appliances.
that movie before.
Oh,
It's
Like
really
I've got a
traumatizing
video.
for like a 5-year-old.
I've got a video I can
Really.
link you guys by Pushing Up Roses. She did a whole video on the Brave Little Toaster, which is really good, by the way. The video is good, not necessarily the Brave Little Toaster is good.
It's alright. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I
yeah,
mean,
it's a
I haven't
dark
actually
movie.
watched the Brave Little Toaster. I just watched that video on it. So like
Get ready for trauma.
well,
Yeah,
no, that I know what happens from that video. So like I just don't get to have an opinion on whether or not it was a good movie in terms of like structure and all that stuff. I can definitely say though from the clips I've seen, it's a weird movie. And I don't think anyone would argue with me on that.
No. Not in the least.
Yeah, so I'll link you guys to that. And like the people watching this can definitely go check out that video by Pushing Up Roses on the Brave Little Toaster because it's good and she's a good YouTuber and yeah.
Video not sponsored.
Yeah,
Link in the
definitely not.
description.
yeah, there was another movie that I was really like obsessed with. It was Tarzan, and like I never like saw it in theaters, but I did see it like when it came out on VHS, and I think like my family would just like rent it like a couple of times, and then like back when we had Blockbuster, and I don't remember so much like the movie Tarzan, but it was just the trailers that would play before Tarzan. And it was like for like the trailer for the dinosaur movie that came out, and I just remember like watching it over and over again, like literally like watch it like 50 times in one day. I just thought it was like the best thing ever, and then I would just let Tarzan play, and I think that's like the only reason why I have memories of that movie is because of the trailer that played before.
I
I
totally
actually
get
really
that.
don't like Tarzan.
That surprises me, actually.
Really? I don't
A
know.
little bit, a little bit.
It's not a bad movie. I think because it was kind of one of the last movies for like, the Disney Renaissance. And just
Mhm.
when you compare it to like The Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, it just doesn't really hold up.
The
And
fan has arrived.
and I look at some of the things that just kind of irritate me. Like, he has an American accent, but he was, taught to read and talk by British people. Not how logic works. He is as like
Well, I can
careless as
tell
a
you why
swimmer.
that was. It's not a good reason, but I can tell you why they did it that way. Because they figured like we're not going to associate the big ape man with a fancy British accent.
I know, but he also is like I said, he looks like a swimmer. Like no body hair. I'm just like that's so unrealistic.
Well, because who wants to animate all that body hair,
I'm
okay?
just saying. And
Well,
I
like
think one
no,
of the
that
reasons I really started to dislike.
Yeah, it's
legitimately that's probably why is they were like, we
No,
know
I
this isn't
know.
realistic, but it would have been a pain in the butt to animate it. Because I think at that
No.
point should have still been hand-drawn animation, I think. And yeah, pain in the booty to
Yeah.
try and animate
No, I get
realistic
that.
human
yeah,
hair all over the body without
yeah.
I
making
Isn't
it
also
look
there?
like a literal cat.
I also just kind of hate because the stupid Frozen theory
Oh
that
Oh
tries
yeah,
to
yeah, that's
connect that. I think that's one of the reasons I just despise the movie because everyone's like, "Oh, his parents were the people from or the king and queen from Frozen," and I'm like, bullshit.
yeah, timeline doesn't work out. The parents' hair color totally would have had to change because in Frozen, like the dad's the ginger, the mom's the brunette. In Tarzan, the mom is the ginger, the dad is the brunette.
And let's not forget that Frozen probably, more than likely, like I'm very certain, takes place in Norway. Do you know how far Norway is from Africa?
Yeah, like
They would have
that's
a
the thing.
died.
ways.
Like
They would have died
geography
before they got
doesn't
to
work
Africa.
out. Like
Probably
oh,
even
okay,
takes
I will
place in a
totally.
completely different time period.
Well, that's the thing is that like Frozen. To be fair, it could, but like you'd have to really play with the numbers because um Frozen was inspired by I believe it's 1800s Norway. Don't quote me on that. It is inspired by Norway. I think it's
Yeah,
1800s. Don't quote
because
me on that.
it was based off the Snow Queen, written by Hans Christian Andersen,
Yeah.
who was Danish, but
Well, and it makes sense though to have like well, I don't know anything about Denmark as far as their snow conditions go, but that might be why they changed location. Anyway,
oh,
not the
it's very
point.
similar to Norway because they're like
Yeah.
right next to each
But
other.
But speaking of that, though, so the little I will buy because people have tried to connect it to other Disney movies. I will buy that it's connected to Tangled because there's
Right.
good visual evidence of that because it looks like you see a character model that looks a lot like Rapunzel at the beginning of the movie. Fair.
Yeah.
And I will even buy that it could be connected to the Little Mermaid somehow
I am
because
very
Because
upset
of the
that there
ship.
isn't a like pre-2000s Rapunzel movie.
Mystic, have you seen Frozen 2 yet?
no, I have it because you were the
Oh, I
one
keep
that gave
forgetting
it to
about
Yeah.
me,
Frozen 2.
but
Okay.
I have not.
My mouth shut then.
I need to watch
Yeah.
Oh
that.
yeah, I've seen it.
I'm going to soon. I just have to find the right time where nobody's here so I can watch it uninterrupted. I really want an uninterrupted
No,
viewing
you're good.
experience.
You're good. I won't say anything else though. But yeah, that's why I don't like Tarzan. And I don't know. Also,
Well,
Jane
yeah,
kind of annoys me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
for me,
buy more so that the theory that Jane is like a descendant of Belle from Beauty and the Beast because of their visual similarities. I buy that theory a lot more than I buy any theory that Frozen and Tarzan are connected.
Yeah, but you have to give it to Tarzan. You know, at the end when Clayton dies, I mean, Disney was brutal with his death.
oh yeah,
Like, you know,
like
when the
Oh, should
lightning
we
strikes
have
and you
maybe
see
mentioned at the
the
top of this there were going
silhouette
to
of
be
him being hung,
spoilers?
like that
Just
nightmare. Huh?
should we maybe have mentioned at the top of this that like spoilers potentially for pretty much every one of the Disney movies on the list?
yeah, I
These
think that'd
things
be
have been
wise.
out for more than
Oops.
2 decades. I think we're good on spoiler
Oh.
warnings.
You'd
If
think,
you
Yeah,
but
I guess
haven't,
I
people
won't
get
spoiler.
uptight
I won't
about like
spoil that
Harry
the
Potter spoilers.
villain dies at the end of the movie,
if you
like
guys
they
haven't
die in
seen
every.
these movies yet, then that's on you. Spoiler away.
Like 30 years since a lot of these came out. Like
I mean,
Yeah, for
you
yeah,
real.
had 30
true.
years.
I don't. Some people get really uptight about that.
Oh no, I'm sorry that I mentioned that a villain dies at the end of a Disney movie.
I
From
mean, yeah.
30
To be
cartoons
fair,
ago.
It's it's
or
Yeah,
kind
see,
of a main thing that
well,
happens.
see, like I would not be ashamed about any of the spoilers for Alice in Wonderland because it's not that kind of movie, and also, generally speaking, at this point, it's just like public knowledge that Alice in Wonderland is a dream in pretty much any version, barring few exceptions. So it's also just not really the kind of movie, again, it's not really the movie you watch for a super deep plot. It's the kind of movie you watch for a good time.
Right.
Are we detecting a pattern from me yet on that side note?
Very much so.
wait, hey, Mystic, have you talked about like Alice in Wonderland in regards to like what um like people think that it's like a metaphor for something that was going on at the time, or
It,
if it was just like
mm,
a silly movie on the basis of it's just a movie, or that it's just a story like about a girl who goes.
I'm sorry.
Oh
Those
boy.
people that are like, oh, it's a critique of the British Crown at the time when Lewis Carroll was alive, those people can go suck a lemon, as far as I'm concerned. I am firmly in the camp that like maybe there were influences, but I do not think it was an intentional allegory for anything that was going on at the time. I am firmly in the camp that like no, he just made up the story one day to Alice Little, like the real little girl, and her two sisters while they were like sitting on the riverbank. Actually, I think they were maybe on the river in like a little boat. I don't It's been a while since I looked at the details about that, but they were just like out to lunch one day and the little girls, particularly Alice, liked to hear him make up stories and she wanted one made up like about her essentially. So he made one up and then later she asked him to write it down and as they say the rest is history. Like it's a nonsense story. I please don't dissect Alice in Wonderland like so many English classes have ruined so many other stories. That's not the kind of story it is. And we are just totally off topic now because this isn't even Disney anymore. I'm sorry.
No,
I had a
it's
feeling
kind
when
of
he
Disney.
mentioned that, I'm like, Mystic's about to go off on this.
Yeah. I
Not a
will
surprise at all.
I have actually like a CD-ROM of the manuscript that Lewis Carroll drew. He drew the illustrations himself before the I believe Sir Tennyson is the name of the guy who does the illustrations that most people associate with Alice in Wonderland. Like I do, do not try to come for Alice in Wonderland around me. You will not survive.
I'll
And
keep
that's
that in
all I have
mind.
to say about
You
that.
have
Yeah.
been warned. But what about any other of this era of Disney movies?
I want to
Uh,
talk about Sleeping Beauty because it's one of my favorite movies, and I know it kind of gets a bad rap nowadays, but I love it
I
so much.
don't even know how it could get a bad rap except for like one way.
Because he kisses her when she's not conscious.
Right.
Ah, got it.
So it's one of my favorite movies, though. It's also because Prince Philip is one of my favorite princes, because he literally fought a dragon for this girl, and I'm like, that is romantic.
Well, now
Like,
hold on just a sec. I think people are reading way too much into that, especially because, like, well, consider for a moment how many times I'm how many times do parents like kiss the foreheads of their unconscious small
That's
children?
different. It's a
I realize
parent,
that's a different
also
context.
not a
found her like
complete
in the woods, and
stranger.
people were like, "Oh, that's weird."
Well,
Um,
here's the thing though, he's not a complete stranger. They did meet
Once upon a
for
dream.
that, and they really like each other. So he's not a complete stranger at that point.
I know, but people like get uptight because he didn't meet her in the woods, and he like, I don't know. I don't like. I
Well,
love that
okay, they
movie
have
so
to
much.
consider a couple of things. Number one, this was a movie produced in 1959. I have the date in front of me. Number two, old fairy tales did a lot worse than just, oh, person's asleep, kiss person. Oh, and
No, I
also,
told you
wait
the
a minute,
original
wait a minute.
story. He
If they have a problem with Sleeping Beauty for that, they should have a problem with Snow White too. Because,
Oh, they do. No, that's an
because
even worse problem because she was also 14. No, trust me.
well, like, she was also dead as far as they knew and never waking up again.
Yeah. But at least with like Sleeping Beauty, when Merryweather did put that like condition on Maleficent's curse, it was like true love's kiss.
True
It's not
love's
just like,
kiss.
oh, a random person.
Well, see,
But
that's my thing is like, if he had kissed her and she didn't wake up, like, maybe what did or didn't happen in Maleficent years later, that that comes across as way worse. But like when you have the magical stipulation, mind you, magic doesn't mess around, of true love's kiss. That well, because like going back to what I said a few minutes ago, like people have, romantic partners that will just like they see their partner sleeping and they think it's really cute or whatever, so they'll like kiss them on the cheek or the forehead or whatever. And I think some people probably will go for the lips. And it's like, if it's just a kiss and you are already romantically involved and there is a magic spell saying true love's kiss, I think that erases any dub con issues.
no, I definitely agree. But that's just a lot of people don't like that movie because of it, and it just makes me upset because,
It makes me
you
upset
know,
too.
and it's a fun movie,
Right.
because like the
It's a
fairies,
beautiful movie.
like I remember back in high school for one of my theater classes, we actually did a scene because we had to do like a scene
Oh,
from
I
a
remember
movie,
the story.
and yeah, we did the scene where they're making the dress and making the cake from Sleeping Beauty, and
Mm-hmm.
I was Flora, and it was it's just a fun scene, when they're trying to make the dress, they're putting different colors on it. Poor Fauna is just trying to make a cake. It's it's a
I
fun
really
movie.
want to know
And it
why
doesn't
they didn't just like, okay, we'll just make it purple because that's pink and blue. Or they could have just left it as,
I
like they have that big crescendo and then the dress is half and half. Why couldn't you just leave it like
yeah.
that? I like that.
I honestly think she would have looked really good in a green dress. I think Fauna should have like got the rights to the dress because she was the only one who was just minding her own business.
Well, okay,
Like,
I
you
know
don't see a lot
why
of
they
Disney
didn't
princesses
like
wearing
do
green.
that. And it's just because like they were still it's a product of its time. They were still in kind of that era where like um pink was like the girly color and they let's see, was Cinderella before or after? Okay, Cinderella was later too. So, yeah, up until this point other than like they wanted a princess in a pink dress, I think, because Snow White was not a pink dress. Alice was not a pink dress. Cinderella was not a pink dress. So I think they were just kind of going, we need a princess with a pink dress.
No, I
So
know. I think she would have looked really pretty in a green dress. But also, green's one of my favorite colors, so I'm a little biased.
I think my only issue is I'm seeing it as like the green that Fauna was wearing, and her shades of green are not the shades of green that I like. I like a more of like a deep emerald, like more bluish greens than hers, which were more like olive greens, yellow greens.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Oh, the other reason, there was so much forest in that movie. She would have just blended right in with the background.
Yeah.
That's probably the other reason they didn't do
But that's
that.
just
Yeah, because pink is the
Seriously.
complementary of green, so well, it's red technically. It depends on what shade of green, but
yeah.
so
But
were
really,
we
find you a man who will like fight a dragon for you, because
yeah.
that'd be enough for me.
So,
Yeah, he fights the embodiment of chaos for his one true love.
That's romantic as shit.
let's see. So I know we had talked about just like going down the list, and then so are we at that point now, or
Yeah.
I am if you guys are.
All right, and we're right back. Hey, hold on.
I heard something in the background.
That was
I heard like,
that was just music I was playing through my phone.
oh, got it.
Intermission music.
Oh.
He was trying to do it up right.
Even though the intermission will not be included in the final product, I just thought it'd be nice to have a little something there.
You know what? Props to you, man. That's good.
And let's get back to it now. So, we were going back over the, just going down the list now.
Okay, so the first movie on the list, obviously, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was released in 1937, theatrical release.
Right.
Okay, so don't
Yeah.
everybody talk at once.
I think
Yeah, I think I had my say about it.
Yeah, I think I said most of what I had to say, but
Yeah.
it was a really amazing movie for the time. I think the person who voiced Snow White, she was paid a lot of money to never like do any sort of voice acting again, because they
Jesus,
wanted
really?
her specific voice to be Snow White, and that was it. I don't remember how much she got paid, but she got paid a lot to never do anything again.
Oh,
God, I
that
wish that
sounds
was still a thing.
familiar.
Huh.
Yeah, because Disney was insistent. He was like, I need this person to just be Snow White, and that's why she has such a unique voice.
Yeah.
That does explain why. That explains a lot, yeah. And I don't know if you guys heard me where I was like, God, I wish that was still a thing. Just because the whole star power, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. The whole star power in animated movies things just does not do it for me, and that's the only thing that I do not like about Robin Williams voicing Aladdin, because that's kind of, if you look into the history, that's kind of what kickstarted that whole thing, and that's why animated movies now are so concerned with getting recognizable voice talent. I want the era back where we have like, maybe you don't have to pay them to never do voice work again, but like, can we go back to the era of animation and Hollywood in general where people are looking for the unknown so they have a truly unique character, or something more unique anyway? Can we go back to that, please?
Yeah, I think Disney tried to do that with Star Wars, at least the new trilogy, when they casted the characters for Rey and got the other guy's name.
Finn.
Well, see, now
Forget.
the only problem with that is I really don't care about Star Wars, so they're missing the mark.
How dare you?
I said I really don't care about it. I didn't say I hate it. I want to be very clear about that, internet. I don't
No,
hate
trust
it.
me, I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just don't care.
I like the
We will
original
make you
trilogy.
care.
The prequels were okay, and I
No,
don't like
you
any of the new
won't.
stuff.
I assure
Oh,
you, if
good
my
grief.
dad and brother can't make me care, you guys can't. The internet at large can't. It's been trying, I assure you.
But yeah, I think that was kind of the main thing about Snow White, was that it was a very unique movie when it first came out.
Yeah, and like I always remembered.
I honestly think it was ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, it was the first
It kind of was
animated
really
movie.
that could be said about Disney stuff in a lot of different ways. I mean, there are some obvious exceptions and some that are very obviously products of their time, but I think in general Disney, I mean, that's kind of their MO, is they want to appeal to the inner child within us all, not just like little kids. That's different.
and they also like they kind of do set out to make stuff that's timeless essentially, and it's kind of amazing they got off on such a strong start with Snow White, because if Snow White had panned, that kind of would have been it for Disney at that point, I think, because they really, I don't remember a whole lot. I'd have to go back and look at the history, but I think they kind of were putting themselves out there really with such a big project. And so if it had failed, that kind of would have been it for them.
Oh no, definitely.
And I don't know, there's just something about like the way that Snow White in particular is animated, and I also think it is kind of interesting though that they went with the dress that they did for her. Have you noticed that really no other Disney princesses for quite a while after her, they didn't really have multicolored dresses like hers. They were usually one specific color. Even somewhat into the modern era, they usually have one mostly solid color dress that's associated with them. That's interesting to me, especially for their first animated movie that they went that route.
I guess I never really thought about that, but I mean, you're right.
Well, and it's also like unconventional colors for like the stereotypical little girl too. Like Snow White, the closest she gets to a pink dress is her rags at the beginning of the movie are a little bit on the pinkish side.
Yeah.
Now that I think about that, that also makes me question why when she ran away she was in the nice dress and while she was at the castle she was in the rags.
Maybe because like when she was put to work, she was supposed to wear rags. So she wouldn't get her dresses dirty.
That's
But for
true.
like publicity things, because I'm sure in the kingdom people still knew who she was. If there was ever occasion that she needed to be there for something, because she was still a princess, she would have to
Which
have
that
something
also makes
nice.
you wonder though what the queen told the public when she disappeared. Because she couldn't tell them she was dead because then
She
people would be
probably
like, are we gonna have a funeral or
she probably did tell them like, oh, something happened, not oh yeah, hi guys, I paid this guy to go kill my
I
stepdaughter,
mean,
but y'all
obviously,
are cool with it.
that part, but like, I can see problems with if she told them she was dead. They're like, okay, when's the funeral? If she told them like she ran away or she was kidnapped or something, the whole kingdom would be looking for her. And
Not wrong.
I'm talking exclusively about the Disney version. I believe in the I believe they were actually looking for her in the original, and that's how the prince found her, and that's a whole separate can of worms.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a plot hole that didn't occur to me until right now. Maybe she just told him she was sick. And like, so she was.
I mean, she probably didn't present her that much though to the kingdom,
Well, yeah.
and it was only in the span of like a couple of days. So
As far that we don't know though. We don't know if it was just a couple of days. It could have been.
I mean,
a
it
couple
couldn't
of
have
weeks.
been more than a few months. I don't think. I don't know.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to say really. The way the Disney movie presents it, because it seemed. If you read it one way, it seems like it was just a few days. If you read it a different way, it seems like it was a couple of weeks, maybe. Either way, though, like,
Yeah.
I guess that's the best explanation. Though she's like, oh yeah, no, she's fine. She's just really really sick and contagious. So she's in this room, but you can't go near her. You can't see her because she's totally here though. I didn't do anything to her. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So how about Pinocchio?
Oh, the ending of Pinocchio makes me so mad.
It does. It does.
Because spoiler alert, the whole plot is, him trying to be a good person so he can become a real boy, but he doesn't even apologize to Geppetto for literally everything he put him through.
Yeah.
It's like, if he apologized, I think that would have been a great moral for the story, but Geppetto is just so happy he's back. He's like, I don't even need an apology. I'm like, no, you deserve an apology, Geppetto.
He does. I mean, I think you also have to consider though that Pinocchio is supposed to be a little boy, and little kids don't often understand when an apology is necessary for those things.
No, I don't know.
I
I'm
think
not
they,
saying it was. I'm not saying he shouldn't have apologized. I'm saying I understand why he didn't.
yeah, I think they tried to like I think they like got to that point when Pinocchio was in the caravan and he was really sad about the predicament he was in and was like,
He
yeah, I
learned
guess
to regret. He became human.
Yeah, he learned
yeah.
remorse. Also, did it traumatize anyone else when the little kids were turning into donkeys?
I
Yeah,
can
I
Raise
remember
think
your
that
hand if
part.
that
like
traumatized
Um,
you.
I'm
I think
sorry. I think the
that
proper term is asses.
ha ha.
No, I
I think though that transformation sequence there and the blue fairy are the main things that anybody remembers about Pinocchio because the blue fairy is really pretty and because that scene was
The
traumatizing.
only thing I remember from
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pinocchio is when he was swallowed by the whale.
Isn't
yeah.
that like a sorry, showing how much I am a bad Christian, but isn't that like a Bible story? Somebody gets swallowed by a whale?
Jonah.
It's
And it's
it's
isn't it like a big fish?
yeah.
Something like that.
There's
That's
like
my association every time I see that Pinocchio was swallowed by a whale.
yeah. It was. I think the explanation that I've heard, according to at least like Jordan Peterson's interpretation of it, was that like basically it was Pinocchio's father, or at least his maker. He gets swallowed by the whale, and Pinocchio, like him, like learning like about the world and growing up, he goes like back to the whale to rescue his father, and I guess he argues that that's just kind of an archetypal story of a son rescuing his father from the depths, and just I think like messages of like like um yeah, just like uh weird stuff, but it's Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's like trying to find meaning in Alice in Wonderland, as you said.
Touche, touche.
No, I mean I think besides the little anger I have with the end of the movie, I really do like the movie because it is a sweet story. And Jiminy Cricket is a very like prominent feature now in Disney, He's he's used in a lot of other stuff, so
Yeah, my strongest association is one of the movies we're gonna get to a little later, Fun and Fancy Free.
woo.
So Marcus,
Which that does
did you have anything to say about Pinocchio?
I will say that I did love the character Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio. I remember very little of, but I do remember being like I was fond of it and scared of it at the same time as a kid because of like it was a living puppet basically, and the growing nose whenever he lied. But I do remember Pinocchio being a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it was like one of the movies that I definitely remember like from childhood.
It was definitely
It's
a
one
very
of the
unique
VHS.
idea too.
Yeah. I mean as a kid like watching these movies, I mean like watching them now, I can't help but to like try to dissect them and see where they came from. I mean that stuff is super interesting to me now. But I mean as like growing up as a kid and just not really knowing how the world works and just watching the movies for what they were. I mean they were like really good movies,
Oh,
like just
certainly.
and they just had a really good story to tell. And for me as a kid, I wasn't so much focused on what does all of this mean. It's just like, wow, all this stuff is happening. This is like really cool. And then it's like only later that I just look back and just understanding the context of when they were made and understanding where the fairy tales like came from originally, and just understanding how Disney took these stories and just made them a lot more child friendly, and sort of shined them up and sort of pushed all the darker elements sort of in the foreground, just to kind of make a story of itself. I don't think that I really comprehended that until like my teenage years, when especially when I was taking film studies, and that there was like a thing that certain writers would um that like movies were not like made like so randomly, that there were certain elements like put into the movie to have like certain meaning to it. And then it was like then that I look back to these movies and it's like, oh yeah, I could see elements of this and this. But at the same time, I just, when I was a kid, I just enjoyed them, and then as an adult I think I just can appreciate some of the more um you know the deeper natures of some of the elements in the movie.
I think that's pretty accurate to most people's experiences, especially with Disney stuff, because a lot of people, they watch the Disney content as kids, and then they grow up and they find out, some of the stories behind some of the stuff, and some people find out stuff and they get really uptight about it. And I'm not even going to mention anything specific right there because I would
Fantasia.
love to not set everybody off.
Yeah, can we talk about Fantasia?
Yeah, that's the next one.
No
I
comment.
love Fantasia.
No comment. I've
I
never
love-
seen it.
I thought Fantasia was really boring as a kid.
Oh,
But as an
drinking part.
no, as an adult, I really appreciate it. But not. It's not like a super plot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Well,
not
that's-
really.
I think I will agree that to me it feels weird to call Fantasia a movie. I feel better calling it a film because you get a sort of a different connotation. Because it's really not like a movie. You're right. It's not super plot driven. It's the sort of thing where it's segments, and each as you go. I'm sorry. I love Fantasia. Excuse me while I go off for a minute here. That's what I love about it. Is it starts out, you get the introduction, and it's supposed to kind of simulate what the experience is of listening to music and just kind of letting your imagination just kind of wander. And you start out with simpler animations that are just kind of bright colors and shapes and things, and then you slowly evolve into more and more complex little plots as the film goes on. And I love that because that's the kind of thing I do all the time. If I'm just like in the car listening to music with my headphones on, I'm staring out the window. I am not seeing one single thing going on outside that window. I am imagining all kinds of stuff to the music. And so
No.
I love that about it.
Oh no, I agree with you. As an adult now, I really appreciate it. When I was a kid, I couldn't.
No, I get that. And I didn't even see Fantasia when I was a little kid. I didn't see it until I was older. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
same.
can see how little kids would maybe find it boring, at least at first. Maybe more towards the end, they'd be a little more interested.
Yeah, same boat. I don't think I've actually really watched Fantasia all the way through. The only
You know what? You two need to get on that, please, for my sake.
Okay.
no, but all I do remember about Fantasia is that there were certain animations that had to get edited. What how would you say edited for like a better to be more or at least less offensive.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
I was
know.
gonna mention that. I just
I
didn't
think
know
I know
who was
which
gonna
one.
mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main one is unfortunately it's my favorite sequence, but not because of that. It's because of everything else in that sequence except that.
Huh.
There was a character in A Pastoral Symphony, which is the Centaurette sequence.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one had to be cropped because there was a pretty stereotypical, not in a nice way, most people would consider it offensive, portrayal of one of the centaurs with black skin. Well, not even when I say
Yeah.
black, I think we all know what I mean. Not like black like a black crayon, but like skin black. And yeah, I don't blame people at all for finding that offensive and wanting it changed. It kind of sucks that like the rest of that particular sequence is so beautifully animated and so good.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like definitely not Disney's high times during that era. Like I mean, it
Well, and
wasn't just
it does
yeah,
make me question though, because like a lot of those centaurs, they have like blue skin and stuff, and it's like wondering what the purpose of that one character that was very obviously more human and in a negative way. What was the
yeah.
point of that, you
I
know?
I think I mean definitely during that time, like I mean, that demographic, it was used for comedic like relief at the time, which it was just heavily prevalent, like especially
Yeah, that
after
sucks.
the Civil War, like like even though things like even though like slavery was like abolished, there was still like a lot of tensions between like just
It was definitely a
superiority and
product of its time. Back
yeah,
then, it was
Yeah,
still very much that people had their
Yeah,
opinions,
that
so to
was really
speak.
not necessary at all.
and I know
yeah,
like during a lot of the times where a lot of these movies did come out, segregation was a thing. And I don't like to mention this, but Walt Disney was kind of racist.
yeah,
And I know a lot of it has to do with just the time period that he grew up in, but it's not really, it's
Yeah, that makes it easier to understand. That doesn't really make it okay.
Right.
yeah, it never makes it okay.
Yeah,
But
I think that's the distinction a lot of people have a hard time, making, is that it's okay to say, "Oh, I understand this person more why they were like that." It's not the same thing as saying I'm okay with them behaving that way. There's a difference.
You understand them, but you don't have to accept them.
Right.
He may have grown
And
up
that
with
carries over
in
to the
those.
modern day too. You can understand somebody's actions or motives or whatever and not agree with them.
Right. He grew up with those. Grew up in that time period, but he chose to, I guess, keep in touch with it.
yeah.
Yeah, and see, like that's kind of because I've actually okay. I'm gonna try to keep this short. Song of the South, because we're in. I think we're getting close to its release date, even though it's not on the list here because it's partially live action, so it was like a
Hmm.
different studio.
Right.
Yeah,
But most people that are like, "Oh, Song of the South was this horrible, terrible thing," most people have not seen it. I'm not. For legal reasons, I can't direct you where, but I will tell you that if you look for it on the internet, you can find it, even though it's not on Disney Plus. And I've seen it. Do I think it would be appropriate to release it in the modern day? No. Do I think that people should act the way that people in that movie acted? No. Do I think it is the worst thing in the entire world and nobody should ever see it? No. But I don't think it's so bad people need to not see it. I think it's kind of like some of the old Warner Brothers cartoons that they air them now, but they air them with a warning in front of them that, hey, things were different back then. That doesn't make it okay, but we would rather show you the unaltered content instead of pretending it doesn't exist.
That
So
makes sense. That does make sense.
I think
And
I
think
think
it's a
Song of
good
the South
idea to
should be
do that.
handled in that way. Like, yeah,
yeah,
like
because
don't hide it from people. Give people context. Like, hey, this movie, things were different when this movie was made. That does not make some of the things in this movie okay.
yeah, like I mean I saw the movie too, and yeah, there was like a lot of elements where it was like okay, that's pretty like racist. Cut it out, please. But at the same time, like just like watching the movie all the way through, I mean it has a really good story. It I mean there's like a lot of like good values to take from it, like the just not
Yeah,
the
like
racist ones. But
it still has the Disney heart to it, which actually okay, that we're kind of so our next movie on the list is Dumbo, and
yeah,
people take issue with Dumbo because of the crows.
yeah,
That
Oh
kind of
yeah,
ties into where we are right now.
I
I'm sorry,
remember
what,
that.
Marcus? Okay, so for the people that don't know, let me explain the problem with the crows is that they're portrayed or coded, I believe is the internet's favorite term, to be African American in nature. Like their dialogue and the way that they move and act is supposed to be coded that way. And one of the crows is named Jim, which is not subtle at all. And the other main issue people take is it's kind of a stereotypical portrayal of Black people. And then most, if not all, of the crows are voiced by white guys pretending to be African American, which is obviously that's bad.
Yeah, I have a problem with that already.
Yeah, like here's the thing
I think
though.
a lot of people try to make the connection with like Jim Crow laws. You know, 'cause
That's what
it's-
I was saying. One of the crows
Oh,
is named Jim.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not
So-
very.
Not very subtle at all. Which, I mean, as an adult watching that, I can say, yeah, all that stuff in context is bad. Here's the thing though. As a little kid, I picked up on exactly none of that. They were just silly crows to me. I did not
Yeah,
read any
same
of that
thing.
out of them.
Same
And I
thing
think
with me.
it's a constant struggle because between this and some other stuff, I know people are in a constant struggle between they give kids too much credit for some things but not nearly enough for others. I think this is one of those situations where they're giving little kids a little too much credit that's how they're going to read those characters.
I will agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yes, maybe. Little kids, I don't think so.
I don't know. At the same time, it's just I mean, it's not because like there is like elements where it's like if I don't know, I lost my thought.
Oh, I just remembered the other problem people take with Dumbo is that at the beginning of the movie, the circus workers that are like building the tent or whatever,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that whole thing, that scene is pretty bad too because it looks a lot like slavery, just modernized for the time, and
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think like in Disney's defense, like I think they were just trying to encapsulate like I think they were just like trying to encapsulate like the context of what the time was like, but at the same time it just came off wrong and it just seemed like they were just celebrating it rather than
Yeah, I mean we were in the
putting
early
an objective
40s,
lens
so
over it.
yeah, early 40s, you could kind of take that either way. You could either read it as they were, maybe seeing some of the things that they saw and just kind of trying to portray it more realistically, or you could take it as, well, and I think the thing that the internet likes to bring up is that you have to consider that Disney and the theater world, like Broadway, have a lot in common, where generally speaking,
Goal.
yeah, generally speaking, the people that consume most of their content that they're making most of their money from are predominantly what? White and have money.
Yeah.
And that was especially true the further back you go, because there was a further and further divide between the classes like that.
Yeah.
So you
Disney
do have
was
to.
definitely trying to stick to a particular image, which probably explains
Yeah.
why it took so long till we had Princess Tiana being the first. At least I'm pretty sure she's the first person of color princess.
No.
She was the
Pocahontas
first
and-
African American princess.
Yeah, she's the first African American. She's not the first princess of color. That I
'Cause we
believe
had-
that's Pocahontas.
And we also
Yeah.
had Jasmine, who was.
Oh, right,
Actually,
right.
I think Aladdin came before Pocahontas.
Oh, yeah.
I've got the list. Hold on. Let's see. Aladdin
Yeah,
was 1992.
Yeah,
When-
I think it was Aladdin.
Okay, yeah. Pocahontas was 1995. Okay, so yeah, Jasmine was the first princess of color. And then Pocahontas and then Mulan.
Yeah, I feel like people are gonna be mad at us talking about all this.
Yeah, but
This is an adult conversation. Screw it.
Yeah,
and like,
But you know,
Yeah.
We are all
well,
very
we're
well
all
aware of the
acknowledging that like this
times
stuff
and
is
then
bad.
the
We're
current
definitely
times.
not
So,
But no, like my point rather though was that when people say a lot of this stuff was a product of its time, they don't mean, oh, this is just how things were back then. It can mean stuff like that where, oh, Disney had a particular audience they were trying to appeal to and keep their image in line with the ideals of, because that's the unfortunate thing about being a business is that if you want to be successful, you have to sort of cater to your target demographic or whoever's giving you the most money. And if that happens to be white people with money in a time where white people did not treat other people the way they were supposed to, well, you can kind of see how that's going to go.
Yeah.
To make it okay? No. It's just kind of a sad reality.
But we're trying.
Yeah, we're working on it.
slowly, very,
But-
very slowly. Unfortunately.
but you know, like the controversies aside with Dumbo, that movie makes me really sad. Like
Yeah.
every time I watch it, I cry. I mean,
Yeah.
I cry during a
same,
lot of movies.
same thing. Like especially the scene with Dumbo like getting rocked in his mother's arms.
Oh my
Like,
god.
I
like the saddest, sweetest thing in the entire Disney. Well, okay, I can think of some other stuff that's like right up there, but that is
That's one of the saddest things in Disney history for me.
yeah, same
Especially
same
because
boat.
like the circumstances, she was trying to protect her child.
Yeah.
And
and
it
he was
just
punished for it.
it breaks my heart. And the song that they sing, oh my goodness.
Which actually, that's a good point. Is like you also have to consider that movie. It does a lot to show you that the circus is not a nice place.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely, it's not the forefront of the movie like the whatever year the live action one that they did came out. It's not like that where it's a very anti circus message at the forefront of the movie. But like you can kind of see the undertones there. Like the circus is not good to the people that work there. The people that work there are not good to the animals. So like it's not a good happy place to be, you know? The only reason it's happy at the end of the movie is just because Dumbo's reunited with his mother. Like the subtext, if you've been paying attention, is there's still probably a lot of crap those two elephants are gonna have to go through for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Like
And he can
where's the
fly.
direct to DVD sequel of Dumbo where Dumbo has to watch his mom dies because she wasn't treated properly and she's an elephant in captivity? Where's that?
Don't get me started. I could go on a whole rant about animal rights in the circus, but we
I
don't
know,
need
that
to
was just like, that would be like such a Disney thing to do, I think. And then we have the third direct to Disney to DVD sequel where where like the Bambi thing happens where like Dumbo's mom died but he gets a new dad or something.
But yeah.
I kind of want that now, the sequel where Dumbo's mom died. Not because I want to see Dumbo's mom dies, but like I want that plot. I want that 90s take on a Dumbo sequel.
No, I just want to leave it as it is. I just want Dumbo. I know he's probably not going to have a happy life, but I want to leave it open-ended.
Yeah, you
And
want
for
to
me to
believe
believe that he's going to be happy.
yeah, that this circus will realize the errors of their ways and they'll become like an animal reserve circus or something where like the whole point of coming to the circus is to just see the elephants be happy and not see them do tricks and things.
I mean, there's still a lot that I'm not going to
yeah,
get
there's
into
still a
all this
lot
right
wrong
now.
with that.
But
Which
Okay,
actually,
so-
speaking of, funny I should mention Bambi. That's actually the next one on the list, and I didn't notice.
oh, I did. I was about to make that transition.
Same.
That's interesting to me though. They did two sad animal movies back to back. Why?
Bambi's
Bambi was one
mom
of Walt Disney's
died.
favorite movies. Bambi was. Bambi makes me sad.
They killed the
Like-
mom, and that makes me sad.
I think the first time I saw it, I was too young to understand the emotional impact of that scene.
To be honest,
Yeah.
that's the only part
I just thought his mom just
remember.
left him or something, or like he got lost and never found her again, which is still terrifying as a little kid, but also like it just doesn't have the same emotional impact when you don't understand the concept of death.
No, I get that. I think by the time I watched it, I was old enough to kind of get it, and it was once more traumatizing. Disney's really good at traumatizing you from a young age.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why
Oh,
I
you
still
know
hang
what
on
was
to
weird
it.
to me as a movie about that is that like so you had Thumper, who I understood was a boy, but then you had Flower, the skunk. I did not realize Flower was a boy until he got older and his voice changed. I'm like, why did they change the girl to a boy?
And
I was so
Twitter pated.
confused about that.
Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, Bambi makes me really sad.
Yeah,
And
because
actually, looking at this list again, I have to wonder what encouraged them to make their first animal-centric movie Dumbo. You know, like what?
Yeah.
Again, like what? So their first one was about elephants, and their second one was about deer. That's a complete about face almost in terms of the animals you're portraying and their environments. So
yeah, I think they were probably just taken from a list of ideas. I
well,
that would be
I'm
my
sure
guess.
there's a history behind it that I need to look into. That's just interesting to me that we go from. I can sort of see the experimentation here because we did Snow White and Pinocchio, have they're more retellings of old fairy tales. That's pretty the same. We have Fantasia, which was this experimental music thing, and then we have two animal movies, which I'm assuming were somewhat experimental in nature. Nature, ha.
Ha.
And then we have two movies that I think I've seen one of them.
At least the
But
Disney animal movies weren't as bad as they could have been, or as sad. Not nearly as sad.
I mean, I don't know. It was
Sad.
pretty as sad as it could get.
Ever heard of the animals of Farthing Woods? Furthering Woods?
Oh, oh,
no, I think it's
okay.
Farthing
You
Wood.
make a point. You make a good point. It
One
could
like
have been
also,
worse.
anybody
Also,
ever heard of
Animal Farm.
That's
Watership
actually
Down?
not a kid's movie.
Yeah,
Which
Animal
one?
Farm.
Wait, did you say what I thought you said, Mystic?
Watership Down.
That's actually not supposed to, like, the book was not supposed to be a children's book.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing about the movie though is like there's kind of this crisis about nobody can figure out who the movie was made for because it looks a lot like a kids movie, but the content is very not
No,
really.
no, I've talked to my mom about this. It's actually not supposed to be a kids movie, and kids watch this movie because it's like, oh, cute little rabbits. It's animated. It's not a kids movie at all. Like it was not supposed to be.
No, that's definitely a subject for its own time because there were a lot of because Disney just kind of had the monopoly over making animated movies and
That's the
then
way Walt wanted it.
and
Sorry.
it was and just as time went on there was just other studios that were coming out with their own animated movies which weren't necessarily like child friendly like especially in the what was it the 60s or the 70s that one guy back backs like Baxi he, I think that's what his name was. He made like movies like Fritz the Cat, which is that was it was like the first X-rated cartoon to come out in cinema, and
I think I've heard of that one before. Like not watched it, but I think I've heard of it before. That sounds familiar.
but yeah, that was yeah that was definitely a thing where animation was becoming not so much for children but just pretty much everyone and I think like growing up, I would like see like something animated and think like, oh, this is like for kids, and then my mom or my parents would see what I was watching. It's like, oh no, that's not for you. It's like, what? It's animated. It's a cartoon, and everything that I've watched that's a cartoon has been for kids. Like, I think I was like watching South Park or something.
Oh no.
But so yeah,
Yeah, so
So-
that I guess brings us to the next two, and I'm putting them as a pair because I'm pretty sure they're sequels to each other. So you have
You would not be able to tell they were sequels. They
no,
have the same characters.
I think they were kind of inspired by each other or something because okay, so you have I'm going to butcher both of these pronunciations. I apologize.
Saludos amigos.
Yeah, Saludos Amigos and the Three Calaveros.
Caballeros.
Caballeros.
Never
I
heard
said I
of
was
these.
gonna butcher it.
I was about to cut you off. I was like, do you want me to say the names?
I've never heard the say the C word.
Caballeros.
Caballeros.
Caballero. I've never heard that pronounced out loud before. I've only ever seen it in writing.
Oh,
And I'm
no,
not
because they have the same characters, but because I've seen both of them, I don't know if you guys have seen either of them.
I've never
Yes,
heard of either of these.
don't remember it.
It's,
Yeah, I have. I've heard of them, but I haven't seen them all the way through.
they're not very plot-driven movies.
Yeah, I
They're
understand.
fun if you want like a cute movie that, because I know one of them, I always get the two mixed up, but I know one of them does talk a lot about like the cultures in like Central and South America, and it's a really cool movie if you're not looking for a lot of plot, and it's very interesting. But if you want a movie that's not, it's a fun movie. They're both fun movies, but they're not very plot-driven movies.
Yeah, from like what tangential knowledge I have of both of them and what I do remember of the one that I've seen. I might have seen both and just really don't remember, but I definitely get what you're saying. Like they don't seem like very plot-driven movies. The main thing I remember is Donald Duck and a live-action lady on the same screen. She was singing and it was weird.
Yeah, like I said, they're fun movies, but
I mean,
you
evidently they did something right because I believe the three
Caballeros.
things I can't say
Caballeros.
Caballeros. It inspired a ride at Epcot.
Cut. Yeah, I love that ride.
So I just yeah, it must have done something right. Which I want to go on that because it's just like I didn't realize for the longest time it's just like a boat ride with animatronics and stuff. I did not realize what that ride was for the longest time, and like I'm like, oh, we would probably really like that if we went on it. We should do that.
No, you
know, when
you
they're-
would love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, so like, next time we go to Disney when there's not like a pandemic going on the list.
Heck yeah.
Okay,
and
so
then-
next,
Make Mine Music, which I have never seen.
I've never heard of it.
Make mine music.
it's just a fun little music thing. It's been a really long time since I've seen it, but
Yeah,
it's just
I have never heard of it
Well,
myself.
okay, so I've seen the next one, which is Fun and Fancy Free, and the names alone make me think that Make Mine Music is similar to Fun and Fancy Free. But I have no clue. So Fun and Fancy Free is like 3 different stories, all kind of like narrated by Jiminy Cricket.
I've never heard
And-
of this either.
Yeah, I need to go
Oh.
back and watch it sometime actually because the only one I really remember from it is the one there's this one about the bear. I forget what the bear's name is. I think his name's Pongo or something. And it's like this little like bear love story, and I don't remember it very well, but I can see the animation for it clearly in my mind. I think this might also be is this where Mickey and the Beanstalk came from, or was that a different?
Wait a minute. Did you?
actually, I think it is. I think it is.
Let me look.
Wait.
Let me just look it up. I should probably have just done that to begin with.
No,
It's
wait.
fun.
So did you say like Fun and Fancy Free that had Jiminy Cricket like sort of be
Yeah,
like
he
the
sort
host
of led
of?
the whole thing.
Yeah, and isn't it like towards the end like the giant comes in and he
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sort of becomes the host? I vaguely remember watching that like I think when
Little
I
Bear
was like
Bongo.
4.
Little Bear Bongo and the Mickey and the Beanstalk. Yeah, those both came from. And I was misremembering. It's just those 2. It's not 3. My bad.
No, you know what? I think I have like a set of books that were based off of this. I think. Wait, was the bear Was the bear like on like a ball?
He was on like a unicycle, I think, for most of it.
Okay. Yeah,
Or
I have
ball.
like I have a really old set of books, and that story about the bear on the unicycle, that's like one of the stories in that book. Like I'd have to like look. I think it's like somewhere in my closet, and it's just
Yeah,
kind
the
of a mess.
original story was by Sinclair Lewis.
Okay. You know what? I gotta check right now.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch that though, because I remember really liking Fun and Fancy Free a whole lot.
It's a fun movie.
It's a fun and fancy free movie.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Roll
It's not
credits.
my favorite thing in the world, but it's not bad at all.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
Yeah,
cute little movie.
I don't.
it's gonna take me more than 10 seconds to find. So
Yeah, we can stick a pin in that thought and come back to it when you find it.
okay.
Which so next on the list though, because it's called Melody Time. I don't think any of us have ever seen
Never
that,
heard
other
of
than
it.
maybe Ali. Yeah.
Super long time. I don't really remember much of it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So we can just kind of skip over that one. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
I don't think I
Oh boy,
recognize this one
that
either.
was fun.
I have seen bits and pieces of it. I have never seen it all the way through, but I want to, especially because
It's
there
a
was
fun
a
movie.
ride. There was a ride at Disneyland in California that they took.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah.
And you
I've
go
been
to
on it.
hell.
Really fun ride.
It is.
I think I like the ride more than the movie.
I want to go on the ride, but I can't obviously because it doesn't exist anymore.
Not the one in. Yeah, I think the one in California still exists. Yeah, it should.
I don't. Does it?
Yeah, yeah, I remember going on it.
California Town. Am I mistaken?
Maybe the one in Florida.
I don't think they had it in Florida.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's
It's been a good 14 years since I've been on it.
California
Oh.
out because I don't think they had one in.
no, I remember. I remember going on it, not like before the pandemic when I had a pass. It was still there.
Let me
Yeah, 'cause
see.
Like I said, it's been 14 years since I've been on it, so I really don't know if it's there or not. Man, I'm old.
I'm
14.
saying it's there. I live literally like 30 minutes away.
I will take your
Okay,
word
so
for it.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and yeah, apparently Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is still in California. What am I thinking of then? Was there
Ooh.
one?
Who is telling you these lies?
Okay, yeah, so it is. There was one in Florida that got taken out. That's what I was thinking of. Okay. Well, okay, and now I have been reminded of what replaced it, which is the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh ride. In which case, we'll say I have mixed feelings about that closure now because I would like to have gone on the ride, but at the same time, I've been on the Winnie the Pooh ride and I really like that one. So
When we talk about the theme parks, I'm gonna mention the Winnie the Pooh ride in Disneyland Tokyo, but I won't get into that right now because I will not shut up about it.
I will say one thing about that is I heard it's like a trackless ride system over there.
Yeah.
Very, very curious about that.
Oh,
The
trust me.
technology
When the
behind
time comes, I'm gonna go off about it because I love it so
Okie
much.
dokie.
But
I'm excited for that.
that's a story for another day.
Same.
Alright. So next, I think is Cinderella. That's
Yes.
a fun
the
movie.
Classic. I feel like if you don't know any other Disney movie on the list, I honestly feel like Cinderella is the one that people know. Just because that's where the castle in the logo came from.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah. And it's the Disney World Castle.
Yeah, that too. Which I have to wonder why. I think almost every other castle, other than like one other park, is the Sleeping Beauty Castle. And I have to wonder what the thought process was behind deciding what castle would go in which park. But
My
Different story for a different day.
my honest guess, just to comment on that real quick, is because all of them are Disneyland, but the one in Florida is Disney World.
Well, that's
So
what
it
I'm
kind
saying.
of
I think there's one other park though that has Cinderella Castle or a different castle that's not Sleeping Beauty. Suppose I should say.
yeah, I don't know too much about that. Okay, I'll shut up.
Well, I should probably just do more research on that some other time, and that would probably give me my answer as to why that is.
Yeah, I think like because I remember I remember of Cinderella like when I was a kid, but I think a lot of the Disney movies that I grew up with, like any of the ones that involve like princesses or anything like that, I just kind of like shied away from it because I was,
A
you know,
boy.
I I'm a boy, and as a boy, like anything girly is just not interesting to me,
Huh.
so I'm just not going to bother. But you know, that was just sort of my mentality, like as like a 6-year-old, and
Yeah, I know that's kind of a thing with a lot of people is like when they were kids, there's stuff that was kind of a divide like that. I think that's maybe why I'm so blasé on a lot of the Pixar movies is because no, they weren't like necessarily targeted at boys specifically, but I felt they felt more like the boy movies to me as a kid. So I wasn't as interested in the Pixar movies because of that. If that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
That would
I
also
mean,
kind of explain why I was a really big fan of Pixar movies because I wasn't a big fan of all these princess movies when I was little because I was very tomboy. But you know,
Yeah, but
yeah,
Cinderella
power to
definitely, like
you.
I mentioned earlier, was one of my favorites. It was probably my favorite Disney princess movie as a kid.
I know especially when I was older because, or even when I was younger, I really liked the mice. I think they were my
I
favorite
think
part of the whole
yeah,
movie.
I was kind of in that boat too. I liked like when the mice came on screen, I was more invested in
I have
them.
always had really mixed feelings about that because I'm
I'm
like,
sure you do.
well, because I'm sad that they made the cat evil and the mice good.
Well,
I mean, like, I kind of understand the dynamic. Like, I mean, obviously, if you watch the movie, you understand why that dynamic is. I also, I wanted Bruno, the dog. I wanted him to have a bigger part than he ended up having. I liked Bruno. Bruno was a good boy.
I like Bruno. But you know, if you name your cat
Bruno is the
Lucifer, you
best
can't
boy.
expect him not to be evil.
Well, and like
He's
the other problem
the
though is that
goodest boy.
yeah, is that Lucifer belonged to Lady Tremaine. If Lucifer had been named something else and belonged to Cinderella, he would have been good.
Probably.
I mean, that's reflective of real life at least. You have a terrible person who owns the pet. The pet's not going to be a very nice animal, you know?
You're not wrong.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's just very.
Marcus, do you have anything else to say about it?
Not really. Other than that, yeah, I did love Cinderella. I was really intrigued by the
Oh, you
pumpkin
know what?
carriage,
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
and I
iconic thing for them.
always wanted to eat that cake.
Which
Oh
cake?
yeah,
I'm
I
trying
had
to.
that same vibe too.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember a cake in Cinderella. I
I think
remember Sleeping Beauty.
I think I remember the cake. I think there was a cake in Cinderella.
Yeah,
You just bringing that up,
Let me see. Cake in Cinderella. Hold on. Because I really don't remember a cake in Cinderella at
I
all.
remember a cake.
yeah, everyone's memory today is just so out of whack.
Of course it is, because we're trying to record. That's why. If we weren't recording, we were just talking, we'd be fine.
I
And of course, everything coming up is like Pinterest, how to make a Cinderella cake. That's not what I asked for, Google. Which, while I'm looking this up, though, you know what my steaming hot take about Cinderella is?
what?
Go for it.
Um,
that was heavy sarcasm if you couldn't tell.
I could.
Yeah. I don't like how originally her dress was more of a silver almost. Like if there was any blue in it at all, it was very, very subtle. And nowadays, if you watch like where they've gone back and tried to remaster the animation, it's very clearly
It's
blue. And then in all the promotional material for the Disney Princess line, it is like way darker blue than it ever would have even pretended to be. You know,
I could have
that
sworn it
bothers.
was white.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. It's like it was supposed to be like silver because if they made it just plain white, it would have been too much like a wedding dress and it would have been really hard to see everything.
Uh-huh.
But so I don't like though how they've just completely abandoned that and now it's just oh yeah, it was definitely blue. Don't
It
you did
looks better
you're
silver, silverish white.
yeah. I'm like, why did you have to lean so hard into the blue? Like I make it like a pale baby blue at least. At least that's a little bit closer, you know. But that just bothers me. That's my steaming hot take about Cinderella. Does it make it the worst movie ever? No. It just kind of
No.
bothers me.
Also,
Yeah, I really don't. Allie, do you remember a cake in Cinderella? Because I'm not finding
I
anything.
swear it was a cake. I swear one of the fairy people made a cake.
That was Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping
That
Beauty.
was where they made the cake. Yeah.
Really? The one that
I was
leans
trying to
on
be
a broomstick?
Yep. That's
Oh.
Sleeping Beauty.
I'm stupid.
No,
You're
you
good.
were just misremembering, right?
I was
Right?
like, did I have like some weird fever dream that I didn't remember a cake in the movie? I was
My
like,
thing, yeah. Like
You're welcome.
I thought I remembered a cake only because Marcus mentioned it. So
I'm
well, see,
sorry.
the thing with me,
you're good.
hey, I was like, my thing though is that I know we don't really see Cinderella cook. It's implied that she does because she carries a tray to Lady Tremaine's room, but we don't ever like actually see her cook. And the main domestic scene we see her in is the Nightingale scene. She's singing Sweet Nightingale. And the bubbles and all that, yeah.
Beautiful scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
The song gets kind of annoying because it's just the same line 50 times, but the animation for that is beautiful with the bubbles and everything.
Yeah.
That was like I was gonna say that's a precursor to the scene in Dumbo, but no, it's not because Dumbo came first. Never mind.
Mhm.
But
okay.
that brings us to my favorite though,
Of course.
Alice in Wonderland.
which was actually, if I remember correctly, I think they were actually in development at the same time, Cinderella and Alice, and it was kind of like a competition at the studio to see which one they could finish first. Obviously, Cinderella won.
I did not realize how many movies were on this list.
Yeah, this is a very long list of movies.
Why do you think we had to cut it off before the 2000s?
Yeah.
I mean, even then, we still have a lot more to go.
Yeah, it's a mess. A fun mess. Like Alice in Wonderland. Like, especially because, like, you would expect me to be harder on this movie because it has, other than, like, passing references, it doesn't have that much in common with the original story, but, like, it's one of those where it kind of doesn't matter because it's just a good time, and, like, that was kind of the point of the original, was it was just supposed to be a good time. It wasn't supposed to be this big thing with a moral. Like, Disney's the ones who added a moral to this about, you know, giving yourself advice and listening and being patient and all that. Be careful what you wish for. But it's a good time.
No, I definitely agree. I really like the movie, especially, you know, watching it when I'm older. It's just kind of a fun movie. Because a lot of times when I watch movies, I'll stress out if, like, the characters have a problem. Not, like, really stressed, but just, like...
Too.
So it's, like, a fun little movie. I'm like, everything's gonna be okay. I mean, even, or
Well,
I
I
guess
mean,
not really
yeah,
when she, almost gets her
Even
head
when you
chopped
hit
off.
the emotional low point in the movie, you're still kind of like, especially because, like I said, it's in the public conscious essentially that Alice in Wonderland is a dream. So you still, even at the emotional low point, you're just like, there's still hope here because it's a dream and she's gonna wake up and it's gonna be okay. The only thing that really bothers me about this movie, and I know I've mentioned this to some of you guys before, is that I don't like how ambiguous it is who she's sitting with on the riverbank at the beginning of the Disney version. Because the way that, because like you start the movie, she's sitting on the riverbank with this lady reading her a book. We don't know, is this her mother? Is this her sister? Is this her nanny? Who is this?
I thought it was implied it was her sister.
Well, that's like the thing. In the original story, it is her sister. Like, that's what I'm saying, though, about this version, is that the way she's drawn and animated, it's so ambiguous because she looks way older than Alice. So, and usually you'd be like, well, if they're siblings, why aren't they closer in age? At least in like a Disney movie, you know? So
Yeah,
it's like,
I got that. I got that vibe too. I thought that was like her mom or something.
I don't know, maybe just because I have a sibling who is a lot older than me, I don't
well, I
really.
do too, but like at this, like it's still just weird to me.
I don't know, I guess
And
it
also
doesn't
she
really.
has brown hair and Alice has blonde. I know that's like not the most impossible thing to ever
I was
happen.
about to say, literally, I was the only blonde in my family.
Well, it's just in animation, it's like
No, I
kind
know.
of like Kai was saying earlier. It's there are some things in film that are done very deliberately, especially in animation where people are like they're doing this stuff all by hand, at least at this point in history. So I have to wonder, were they making it ambiguous on purpose because they were worried about, oh, what are people going to think if there's these two small children out here with no parents anywhere in sight? So we have to age her sister up to make her look more like an adult. So people are like, is this her sister? Is this her mother? Is this her nanny? Who is this? Doesn't help me that the way she's drawn and animated, she kind of reminds me of Mary Poppins a little bit.
I
So
could see that.
yeah, so I'm like, which I don't think the timelines would work out, but if they do, then that's my new headcanon, is that just straight up is Mary Poppins. I don't think the timelines work out though. I think Alice in Wonderland was, or I need to look up when that movie is supposed to take place. But like I don't think the timeline would work out though.
Yeah.
So how about Peter Pan?
I loved Peter Pan as a kid.
Same. It was a good movie.
I don't know what was wrong with me. Like I like Peter Pan, but as a little kid, it just did not do it for me.
How dare you?
I liked it, but I loved the live action one with Robin Williams a lot better.
Oh yeah, Hook.
I mean, that's uh-oh. Allie has thoughts on that, apparently.
Like it. I just love the original, and I wish they would stop making remakes of this movie.
No,
There's so many.
I
There's
remember.
so many, and I'm like, just
Well,
let me.
Well,
Let me
now
be
hold on a
happy.
second. Are they really remakes or are they just
Well,
retellings
no.
of the Peter Pan story? 'Cause
They're
remember,
retellings. No,
Okay.
they're retellings.
Yeah.
But
Tomato.
Well,
it's
no,
more like how
sorry.
everyone compares them, and it just kind of makes me upset. But I'm not gonna get on my rant about that.
Well, no, I think that's fair because that's the thing about a lot of the Disney movies is if people don't know that a lot of these were based on something else, they assume Disney did it. And so
Yeah.
it's impossible to separate the story from the Disney version after that. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people probably have no idea that like Pinocchio, for example, wasn't Disney's idea, or just like Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh wasn't even Disney's idea. That was
Fox and the Hound wasn't either.
yeah. Or
Really? That I
Mhm.
didn't know.
Oh, when we get to the Fox and the Hound, I'll tell you all the real story, and then I'll ruin everyone's childhood.
Great. It's fine. All of our childhoods are probably broken by now.
I
Going
mean,
through
Disney
this list.
traumatized us all, so we might as well just live in it.
yep.
You have to face reality sooner or later.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's kinda like you
Peter
have
Pan
to
was a good
acknowledge
time.
it, so that people don't get mad at you for having no idea what's going on in the world, but then you can just go back in your little fantasy hole.
Yep.
Yeah, I always have really liked Peter Pan. I think it's the whole like, oh, you can go to a place where you don't have to grow up.
Yeah,
And
Neverland.
I really want an Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan crossover because I think Alice would have really loved that, you know?
probably.
Yeah.
And also, it's just, sorry, I have to bring this up because it's just really interesting to me. There's actually a deeper connection there. So, not only same actress voiced Alice and Wendy, but also there was a song. So, at the beginning of Alice in Wonderland, she sings that song while she's laying in the daisies in a world of my own. That was actually supposed to originally be a different song called Beyond the Laughing Sky, but it just kind of didn't work and they thought it was too similar to Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz, so they cut it. But they kept the music, and then while they were working on Peter Pan, they brought the sheet music back out, they redid the lyrics, and it became Second Star to the Right. And that's just really interesting to me that there's that connection there.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
Yes, if anyone was going to guess it, it was you. But it's just really interesting to me.
No, it definitely is.
Oh, I didn't even wait. Okay, while I'm on the song thing, I have to mention, if please people look up the Cheshire Cat song that got cut, which is called I'm Odd. It's awesome. It's a really good time, and I'm sad it got cut, but I also understand why, because if you listen to it, it kind of doesn't really fit the tone of the movie when he appears. So it makes a lot of sense that they went with "Twas Brilling" instead.
I will have to take a look at that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I know because I've seen it.
Obviously.
But it's a good time. Yeah.
I was supposed to say it was a good time.
What else am I supposed to say? I'm just essentially just be saying the same thing over and over again, and
I
just
know.
with different words. So I might as well stick to one phrase.
No, I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah. So I appreciate more now Peter Pan, not just because it's connected to Alice in Wonderland, but because like I see it more for what it is now. I think as a little kid, I just didn't like that there was so much emphasis on the boys in the movie, and Wendy was so freaking uptight all the time, which is the point of the movie, and I understand that better now.
Yeah, I should mention I had a crush on Tinkerbell when I watched Peter Pan.
So
As
I
a
have
kid.
always hated Tinkerbell. Like, I hated her so much when I watched the original that, you know, when they made all the Tinkerbell movies, I couldn't watch them. She just annoyed me so much.
Okay, yeah,
To this
you know
day, she
what?
even annoyed me.
I have to agree with that. Tinkerbell in the original movie annoys the crap out of me, and I also did not like her.
How?
I thought she was pretty, that
She
was about
didn't
it.
even
It's
talk.
annoying.
Because she tried to murder Wendy.
Yeah, there was like
Are
a
we all just gonna forget that she literally tried to convince the Lost Boys to shoot her down with weapons? Are we
Yeah.
all forgetting
Even
this?
after Wendy freaking saves her life, she's still not really all that grateful about it, you know?
Yeah, she's just jealous that
Yeah.
that any female gets Peter's attention. I'm sorry.
I will say though, since you brought up the Tinkerbell movies, they retcon a lot of her personality. I assume this is before she has met Peter Pan, because I think I've heard their original plan before they stopped making those movies was the last one they made ever, which they never made, was going to be the one where she meets Peter Pan.
Yeah, because
so, like,
do you care for spoilers for those movies?
I've seen most of them, so I don't care.
Because she did meet Hook in one of them.
Which one was that?
The pirate fairy one.
Oh, okay.
I only know that because I was babysitting and the person I was babysitting wanted to watch it.
Okay. Well, I will say, I still have issues with her in those movies, but like for the most part, I like her a lot better in those movies than I ever liked her in Peter Pan.
No, I know. It's like a grudge I just can't get over.
No,
So it's
I
on me.
get that. I get that. It'd be like for me if they ever made a spin-off based solely on the Lost Boys, couldn't get behind it. I just couldn't.
No, I feel that. But
Which, speaking of things that got versions later that I can't get behind, how about Lady and the Tramp?
I'm not going to talk about the live action at all because I will get so mad.
It's
So
okay,
let's
you
just talk
don't
about
have
the
to.
beautiful story that is Lady and the Tramp. My sister loves Lady and the Tramp, and I like it a lot too. It's just so sweet.
The beginning of that movie, because of how cute it is burned into the back of my brain, because all I can see is Lady popping her little head out of the box under the tree with her little fluffy ears
So
and her little
precious.
tiny baby bark.
I love when they like put her to bed downstairs, and she's just the little howl she does is so cute.
I know. I mimicked that noise so much as a kid. Every time I would watch that movie, I'd do that for like a week after.
Honestly, I would do my impression of it right now, but the internet does not need to hear that.
Yeah, I'm
No,
resisting the right to do an invitation too.
Yeah, I liked watching Lady and the Tramp. I think one of my memories of first watching it when I was a kid, like
Maybe
I
that's
think there
why
was this.
my favorite meal is spaghetti. Because of Lady and the
Oh,
Tramp.
the spaghetti scene.
Maybe that's why I
I
love
can
it so
tell
much.
you that's not why it's my favorite. It's just my favorite just because it tastes good.
Yeah, there was
That scene
like
is so iconic now.
yeah.
See, here's my issue though, is that like, okay, more information than you ever needed to know about me. I tried to replicate that once. It was
With
with the guy that was my boyfriend at the time, and
nice.
it was mostly good just for the laugh. It wasn't. That is not a practical thing to do.
My boyfriend wouldn't even let me do that. He was like, "No, don't do that."
We tried it. I think we tried it twice because the first time was just a complete fail. Like in the same night, like with one plate of spaghetti, mind you, and like it just. It's cute when two animated dogs do it. It's just kind of a joke when two humans try to do it.
It's still such an iconic scene. Like so many other movies have replicated that. Even when the Rugrats went to Paris,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. I'd almost
I mean, it
forgotten
wasn't the
about
same thing because it was pizza instead of spaghetti, but still, it's such an iconic scene now.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what?
gonna have that song stuck in my head.
I'm kind of surprised Disney didn't rip themselves off when they did the Aristocats and have a scene like that for Duchess and O'Malley.
The
And now
second
I've
Lady and the
watched
Tramp movie, they actually replicate that scene with Scamp. If you guys have seen this.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that one, but it's been a really, really long
I have
time.
not.
It's not a super good Disney sequel, but it's very nostalgic for me.
I think it's maybe one of the. It's a little bit better than a lot of the other
I'll be
sequels,
right
but
back,
like,
but you guys can keep going.
Not great. Yeah.
okay, yeah, it's still lacking. I think I feel the same way about the There's an animated sequel for 101 Dalmatians. I think it's called 102 Dalmatians or something like that.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about the Patch one.
Or that I don't remember.
Patch's London
I
Adventure
feel like the Dalmatian sequels though, like they're still lacking in a lot, but I feel like they're a little bit on the better side as far as the sequels go.
compared to some they are, but
Not saying that's a very high bar that has been set for them, but
yeah. But I thoroughly enjoy Lady and the Tramp. I think it's a really cute movie. I just like the music. It's a soft movie and they're just so cute and they're in love and I love love. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I know that movie has faced a lot of controversy too, though, with the Siamese cats.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
see, now to me, I get why as an adult, but like before I realized other people had a problem with that, I didn't read that as a parody of people. I read that as a parody of just cats.
Yeah, that kind of went over
really
my head.
much thought to it as a kid.
Well, that's what I was saying, because like even Aristocats had kind of a stereotypical Siamese cat,
Oh yeah, that one was a lot worse.
But that didn't read to me as like, oh, this is a caricature of Asian people. That didn't read to me that way at all. It's like, oh, this is a character of Siamese cats in particular. Because I
No,
was an intelligent child and I could separate, like, that's not how people actually behave in real life, regardless of what they look like. People just don't act like that, you know?
I'm back.
actually, hello. Actually, no. I do have something to say about this though. I
Okay.
don't think it like completely went over my head. Like I knew what it was implying like as a kid, and it just it, like that like it definitely like did not help with how I like interacted with like kids when I was growing up, and I like now that that I'm remembering, because it was just like oh, the cats on the cartoon, they act really funny because they're like Chinese or whatever, and um just like how I like interacted with like other kids like at school, and even like other kids at the times go- like because we actually like had like a Chinese student in our class, and I would just like make like really funny faces just because like I saw it like in the cartoon, and yeah, it didn't help that 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 my parents like thought it was like funny too, and so yeah, like definitely like growing up, I've definitely learned that like no, that's not a good attitude to have towards other like races like that, like, and I had to like root that out of my system.
Okay, yeah. So I would say that that is like, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't know a way to say it that doesn't sound really rude, so I'm just gonna have to say it and assure you I don't mean it to be rude. Is like that's like the example though of what people um like people think every single kid that watches it is gonna have that kind of experience with that kind of content. And that's what, you know, obviously if all kids do react that way, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But then again, this is the part I can't really figure out how to say it in a way. It's a difference of breeding, like the environment you grow up in that kind of, like you said, your parents found that kind of stuff funny too when you would treat people like based on the Siamese cats or whatever. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's not exactly what you said. That's like extreme paraphrasing, but um, and I'm really not trying to like toot my own horn when I say that like that didn't, because we had kids when I was growing up in school like that were obviously of Asian descent. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know the specifics behind that, which is why I say Asian descent and nothing more specific than that. Um, and like it didn't, like I say, I never read the Siamese cats in either of those movies, Lady and the Tramp or Aristocats, as oh, they're making fun of Chinese or Asian people. I never read it that way. It was just like, oh, they're making fun of Siamese cats. You know, they're this is how they characterize. And I guess that also has something to do with the fact that I grew up around so many cats. And like I know they all have their own unique personalities and you can sort of like characterize them that way if you really know them. I'm like, oh, they're just, I guess that's why it read that way to me is like, oh, I'm like, yeah, animals have their own personality. That's how they are characterizing these animals. It never occurred to me they were trying to make fun of a certain type of people with that.
Yeah, it wasn't a fun time for me
Well,
like
you've
back
grown
then.
and learned from your mistakes, and that's really all anybody can ask of you over that whole
Yeah.
thing. So as long as you're doing better, like as long as you're improving, then
Yep, I try.
trying to be better is all you can really do. Is try to be better with
Yep.
any mistake, not just that type of stuff.
Yep, yep.
Not that kind of conversation ended on a heavier note.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I
does
brought it up because like because I did have like memories of it. I just thought I'd just talk about it.
I mean, it is like you recognize that that was not an okay thing to do, and like that's the issue people take is when you have people that they don't realize that wasn't an okay thing to do. They think that's perfectly normal, acceptable behavior for their entire lives, and they never make an effort to be better. That's when
Yeah.
it's a problem. If you can recognize that's not an okay thing to do and work to be better, again, that's all really anyone can ask of you.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But I think that's a good
Look where
point.
we are, Sleeping Beauty. Hello. Speaking
Well,
of,
I
Hey.
think I kind of covered everything I wanted to about Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, I
we
think
kind
same.
of went ham on that one earlier.
Right.
Yeah, we could go to the next one.
Well,
Okay, one Dalmatian. Oh, sorry.
will say really quickly about Sleeping Beauty that it is a beautiful movie the way it's animated and stuff. The one thing that bothers me about it that I didn't mention earlier is it's weird to me to see in the scene later when she's asleep. Did any of you guys notice how realistic and painterly the blanket was that they put over her? Like,
No.
Yes.
you can tell the actual animation is that was like a background and her like upper half was the actual moving animated cell. That was always really weird to me.
I'd have to look back at that because I don't remember
Yeah.
that very well.
But you can see what I'm talking about. You don't even have to see the movie in action to see that. It just
Wait,
kind
so
of
it was a blanket? It was like a real life blanket?
well, not like no, but like you could tell it was like a hand painted background versus
Oh, okay.
like the cell animation for the characters for her.
Oh,
And it was
got
just
it.
so weird to me, especially because like in other movies they had actual animated blankets instead of this hand painted background. It was just really weird, and it still
Got
is
it.
to this day. Like I understand why if they just wanted to have a really detailed, fancy looking blanket, but beyond that, I still don't really understand why they chose to do it that way.
Yeah. No, that's what I was trying to say with when I was talking to you guys about the Princess and the Frog. There was like a scene at the very beginning where they kind of did the same thing with the bed. They made the bed like through like a CGI art or whatever, but you still had the 2D character. So like seeing how the bed interacted with like the girl in the bed, like as she's like getting up to go to her window, and you just see the bed sheets kind of scrunch up the way they did. It just looked really weird.
Weird stuff in animation. Why am I singing? I don't know. Okay, now we can move on to 101 Dalmatians.
I like it, but it's not one of my favorite movies. It's a cute movie, but I don't know.
I actually really like it. It's kind of right up there for me for the animal movies. It's just, I don't know, just something. I can't even really describe what it is that makes me like it as much as I do. It's just, I don't know. I like it. I can't really say anything else. Well, okay, the puppies are cute. The puppies at the very beginning, especially the one that they think they're gonna lose, that gets me every time.
Yeah.
Especially like I think that also hits me a little harder just because like I've been in that situation sort of with kittens where it's like you have this tiny little thing that fits in your hands and you're just like you're so tiny and cute.
Yeah, the one thing that I remember the most was the song, the Cruella de Vil song. I
Oh
always thought that was like really
yeah.
rad. Cruella de Vil,
I
Cruella
know a lot
de.
of people love Cruella, but I can't get behind a villain who kills puppies.
See
Yeah,
that
that was the whole
I'll
point of this song.
for me
No, I'm just because a lot of people love her,
well
and
see
I
for
just don't know why.
I
well see
think
for
they
me
love
it's
her as a villain.
yeah, that's what I was gonna
No,
say. It's
I'm
like
not
for me,
even.
I don't like her as a person, but I think as a villain, she's characterized and animated and voiced really well. Like she's a really good villain. Like she's that type of villain you love to hate. Like you hate them for their actions and as a person, but
the way she's characterized is she's a good time when she's on screen. She's evil, but she's entertaining. Terrible
Yeah.
person, entertaining.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Maleficent for me also is that type of character where like terrible person, but like when you see her on screen, it's a good time because she's just such a good villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the only thing that I really remember. Like, I think the one thing that stuck out in my mind was the very last scene where she's driving the hot rod like throughout the
Mhm.
town, and then it just like the whole thing just breaks apart, and she just I don't know what it was she she just like literally like her hair is just like going out of control, and she just
She looks the craziest that she have as she. I can't. Why can I not say these words? She looks the craziest that she has ever looked in her life.
yeah, and
There.
doesn't she like crash into like a riverbed or something?
I think it's something like that. It's been a while, and now I really want to watch one of the sequels because I know in one of the sequels she like makes friends with like this artist dude.
That was Patch's London Adventure.
I really want to watch that again now, just because I remember really liking how they interacted for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. I think I broke off of the Disney sequels up to like an extremely goofy movie. I think everything after that it was just something in the background that I saw. I was like, "Oh, they made another sequel for this and this."
I am such a mixed bag on the sequels I have and haven't seen. Speaking strictly of the direct to DVD ones, most of the modern ones I've seen because most of the modern ones are actually good. And by modern I
Yeah.
mean like last 5 years. And they don't do sequels like that very often anymore anyway. But
So, let's see. We're like 2.5 hours in, and we've still got like
a lot. We're
Exactly
I was
2
about to
hours, 30
say
minutes.
we could probably stop around the Little Mermaid because that's when the Disney Renaissance starts, and then the next video can just be on Disney Renaissance movies.
or well the yeah the, what well okay, funny story about that. I'm gonna get on my history high horse here for a second.
Well, not the rest of them, but you know.
Well, like the Renaissance was technically started by the Little Mermaid, but the thing about it is that the Disney's animation studio was brought back from the dead not by the Little Mermaid, but by the Great Mouse Detective that was released just before it.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
and the movie so that's the movie responsible for saving the Disney company. The movie responsible for saving animation is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was also around that time.
yeah. Well, that was just my idea. If you guys wanted to like
No, I get
trim
that.
this down.
Yeah,
We
that's
can
not a
go.
bad idea.
Yeah, I think that is a
Well,
good
so
idea.
there's
We
52.
will probably be here for another like 2.5 hours.
We are at 2 hours, 31 minutes, and counting.
Okay, so there's 52 movies on the list. Exactly halfway would be 26. We're almost to 26. So do we want to maybe go there and then have a exact halfway cutoff?
I mean, that can work too.
Yeah.
Do you know which ones?
Yeah, I'm looking at The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is number 26, so we'd be stopping there. That would be our
Okay,
last.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so
That'll
then our
probably
next one is the
be a good
so-
idea rather than having a 5 to 6 hour long video.
Yeah.
Yeah, not what we planned, but that'll work a lot better.
So
Yep,
that
yep.
would mean the next
Stone.
one is I think I've seen like a cover or a poster for it at some point in my life, but I've never watched it.
I've seen bits and pieces. I've never actually sat down and watched it all the way through. At least not that I remember.
What, the Sword in the Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
Okay.
the Sword in the Stone.
I remember
I
watching
like
that
what I've
movie.
seen of it.
It's cute.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's
think,
not like 101 Dalmatians cute, but I like it.
But yeah,
yeah, I think there was a point where I think someone was like trying to sit me down to watch like all of the Disney movies in chronological order,
Oh my.
and I think I do remember like Sword in the Stone was like one of the first ones, and then like going down like the Jungle Book, then the Aristocats.
Aristocrats.
I mean, that's kind of the joke.
I mean, yeah, it really is. It's like they're aristocratic cats.
The aristocrats, the
If they were awful people, they
bourgeoisie.
could be the aristocrats. Ooh, that was
Yeah,
good.
Yeah,
Huh.
really good.
That was good. I'm so funny.
Everybody loves a pun.
But
Maybe not
I mean,
everybody.
I don't really have
I
much.
do.
I don't really have much else to say about The Sword and the Stone. It's a cool movie. It's nice. It's not my favorite. It's not anywhere near my favorite, but it's a fun movie. I
Yeah,
think
it's
everyone.
not- I would say from what I know and I've seen of it, it's good, but it's not like the epitome of Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I had good memories of it.
Oh, we're getting to the good stuff now, though, because next up is the Jungle Book, and
The
then
bare
some other stuff.
necessities.
So
Yay!
I really like The Jungle Book.
Me too. I really
I know
like
a
that
lot
one
of
as a
people
kid.
don't like it because it's not.
I love it.
Why don't
I
people
love-
like it?
Just because it's not like one of the more classic ones, you know? But I love this movie
cares?
so much that I want a black cat and I want to name him Bagheera.
Mira.
Oh wait, Kai,
Yeah.
don't your cat's named Mowgli, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And he's a black cat.
We are
Yeah.
kindred spirits.
Huh.
No, what was funny was like when I named my cat like Mowgli, like I think at the time when I was naming him, I was trying to remember the jaguar's name, but I couldn't
Oh.
remember it. So I just like went with the only name that I could think of, which was like Mowgli, which is just kind of like incorrect because Mowgli was raised by wolves, and yet I was naming my cat after like something that was like, I guess, not correct, but
Totally
I just
the
I
other
went with
thing.
it. I just went with it as like
I
this is
approve.
Mowgli.
But I love everything in that movie to like even the elephants who have such a minor role in the movie. It's just I love it. And I love Baloo. I love the songs. I know some people have an issue with King Louis' song, like controversial, but I
Oh,
love
yeah.
the music in this movie so much. I love the characters.
I
I
don't
love how Mowgli in the end, he wasn't forced to go back, but he did make the choice on his own to go back and live with other humans again.
which I'll be honest,
Stay
okay,
on the high ground, Mowgli.
there's a Jungle Book sequel that I've seen, and you know what? Other people can that one if they like, but I think that is one of the better ones as far as the sequel goes because I thought it really held up. It's a different story from the original, obviously, but I thought in terms of quality at least, it held up a lot better than some of the other ones do.
Oh boy, is it
But
gonna
no-
be a
I
wild
thought it
ride.
was okay.
It was definitely a wild ride. I loved the characters. I loved the world building and all that. The storytelling. I loved that it
Oh,
was
which I have
different
to
than
mention.
Tarzan. It was much different than Tarzan, and I think better than Tarzan. Dare I say?
I
Yeah.
agree with that. I like the Jungle Book a lot better than I like Tarzan.
You know,
Me
for
lot.
me,
too.
And the
But
Beatles
I'm-
were in it too, right?
Who?
They
Um,
were the they
I
were the
don't know if
vultures.
they got
No,
the actual
no, they
Beatles,
were
but the
supposed to
vultures
be.
were a parody.
No,
of them.
so at first they asked the Beatles to do it because they were supposed to be the Beatles, but for some reason or another they didn't do it. So yeah, they're a parody.
Got
Yeah.
it.
But their intention was for them to be voiced by the Beatles.
Wondering if maybe that was just like a scheduling conflict or something because or it could be kind of like they would end up doing with Robin Williams later that it was a payment disagreement, you know how that goes. Could have been
Yeah.
something like that.
I
Yeah.
don't remember the exact story behind it, but
My dad probably knows because he's a Beetle head or whatever the correct term for that is.
Beetlehead.
Beetlehead. I've never
Well,
heard of that.
I
I'm
was
gonna
thinking like
start- I'm
Metalhead,
gonna
but
start
like
using that.
related to the Beatles, and that was the first thing that fell out of my mouth.
Boy, it's gonna be a wild ride when we do the podcast about live action Disney remakes.
Oh
don't-
yes, it is. It really is. Can of worms, can of worms. But
That
I also have to mention though about the Jungle Book. To give you, I am not the type of person, even as a little kid, I was not quick to laugh out loud at stuff. But at the beginning of the movie, in the snake, I think his name's Ka,
Ka.
when he like falls or something, and like he gets totally squished up and stuff, and then his tail's in a knot. Dude, we had to pause the movie because
Oh.
I cracked up. I laughed so hard at that. And then, so like, they got through the scene of him just like getting whirled around the tree and all this crazy stuff because of how it was stretched out. We had to pause it for that. And then a few minutes later, we had to pause it because he's like crawling, and then like he tries to go through these two reeds and he gets stuck because he has the knot in his tail.
I remember that
don't-
scene so vividly.
I don't know why it is so funny to me, but it was back then, and it's still funny to me now. It's not as funny, obviously, because I know it's coming, but like, that is the first time I remember really laughing out loud at any movie, and it was, like I said, we had to pause the movie because I was laughing hard and for a very long time. It was just so funny to me. That's probably my favorite Disney movie memory. Side note, just because it's such a good one. Like, that's a purely positive memory right there.
right.
Yeah. Good times.
I guess that brings us down to what do you know? The Aristocats.
Yay!
I think I've said everything I want to about this one. It's not my favorite. I enjoy it, but
Everybody wants to be a cat.
Yeah.
I don't know
enjoy it more
about
if I was
that.
a cat person.
I don't think I want to be a cat person after seeing the Cats movie.
I mean, that's a whole other can of worms.
But
They wanted to make it a good movie, and then they ran out of money, essentially.
the Aristocats is definitely adorable movie.
Yeah.
I did like it. I did like the characters.
Yeah, I will say, like, looking at this movie again, like, it, especially like for the time that it was made, like it, like, especially the music, it really makes me want to like make music like that, like, but yeah, I just really liked the art in it, and it was one of those movies that I grew up with, and I watched it over and over again. It's good times.
I just really, there's only really two things that bother me about this movie. Can you tell there's something that bothers me about every movie that's like some small insignificant problem?
Go ahead.
So one, where did Duchess's kids come from in the first place? Did she just like like, I want to know, there's a backstory here that nobody's talking about where Duchess came from and where her kids came from and how they ended up in Madam's household. I don't think they actually give her a name. I think they just call her Madam the whole time.
You should ask Matt Pat.
Yes.
That's a good point. But like, and it's also kind of funny though when you consider that cat genetics are weird, but like, to be fair, it does look like O'Malley could be their biological father. And so again, there's a backstory here, and that might be why. Now I'm just theorizing. That was not my intention here.
Wait,
that might be why Duchess is just kind of immediately drawn to him. She's like, oh, he looks like my ex-husband or something. I don't know.
Great.
I mean, now I want that. I want the Aristocats prequel that explains all this. Because did Duchess have the kittens while she was at Madam's, or did she already have them when she adopted them? Did she find them in the street? In which case, which I don't think they did, because they seem such like, at least Duchess even seems like such a posh lady
I was about
cat.
to say they're probably purebreds.
That's what I'm thinking. But then, like, again, where's the father? Why is he not in the picture at all? Where did he go?
Maybe he's just dead.
Well, but like, still though, what happened? And why does Duchess never mention him?
Maybe Duchess doesn't want to mention her late husband.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe she
know.
just
I really
doesn't
don't
want to
know.
remember.
I mean, maybe, but I would also think that, like, Madam, like, she clearly loves those cats. I would think if the husband was in the picture and he died, you know, she'd maybe look into getting another cat for Duchess.
Or for following this
maybe-
logic, why did the kids never ask?
Yeah. Well,
Probably
now
because
that
they never thought to ask.
yeah, because it might be they never met him. Like, he maybe died when they were really young or something. They never met him. And cat dynamics are different from human dynamics. They probably haven't seen a whole lot of other cats before. So, and for all they know, like, they're not like us humans where the nuclear family model is the norm necessarily. So they might have just legitimately never questioned where their dad was. They might have even been like, we would have a dad, that's a thing. I don't think they ever even try to say O'Malley, oh, you're like our new dad. I don't think they ever do that. He's just another cat to them, you know. That they're not like, oh, this is our father figure. Until
Yeah.
like the end of the movie when they take the family photo, and even then we don't really hear the kids' commentary on that. So, yeah, I want that Aristocats prequel that explains all this stuff. I want, you know what? I may end up writing a really short fan fiction about this later. That's just how
Do
curious
it.
I am. Well, because if I know anything, I know cats. I could do this.
Do it.
I'll try to let it go. The other thing though is that I really wanted more of the horse character. I just really like her. And we hardly see her.
Okay. Yeah, I remember she was like really charming like at the beginning.
Yeah,
where
and
she
like
had,
I really
the,
like her
she had the
voice.
hat and everything.
Listen to.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite like songs from that was the goose one where they're like walking like geese.
Oh yeah.
And then
the
there's just
geese.
that beat in the background that dun 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 dun.
When
It's
I
so
was a little kid,
charming.
the duck walk after that movie, or not duck walk,
Yeah.
but like the way that they walk with their webbed feet.
Yeah, it's just the music is just so great, and I loved it.
I'm sad that apparently critics didn't like it when it came out. It's like, you critics can go suck a lemon because this is a good movie. Get out of here.
I like that. Go suck a lemon.
Well, like most people would find that unpleasant, but like unless you're allergic to lemons, it's not gonna hurt you. So like,
See, that wouldn't bother me because I don't have like, you know, like some people when they suck lemons, their face is kind of, you know, because
Yeah,
I have
I mean,
sour. That doesn't happen with me.
I would say I don't do it as severely as some people do. I definitely like make a face, but it's definitely not as severe as like a lot of people.
No, I just don't.
Then again, I'm the person that I will drink straight up dill pickle juice without wincing, so maybe don't take me as an example.
Great.
I have done that voluntarily. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah, I could not handle that.
Okay,
So,
so we've got two more. Then we've got Robin Hood and then Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So Robin Hood. Here we
I
go.
love Robin Hood. It's so
Me too.
underrated, and
yeah,
I think one of the reasons I really like it is because a lot of theorists connect that to Zootopia, which is one of my favorite Disney movies.
yeah,
But really before that, like it's just I just love the story of Robin Hood in general. And so to have like the Disney version with animals and I love the music. And a lot of people hate the movie because or not hate it, but they get uptight because a lot of the animation was reused from Snow White
I'm
or the
guessing
Jungle
we're on
Book.
Robin Hood.
uh-huh.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We
But
just
it's still
started.
a
Well, in
good
that case, no
movie.
comment. I've never seen it.
Like,
Pooh.
Oh,
even Prince John is just a funny villain because he's obviously not king like at all.
He reminded
yeah.
me of Tigger a lot for
He
some
just
reason.
Oh, he kind of did.
just
Yeah.
a little. But I love it. I love the songs. Like The Phony King of England is one of my favorite Disney songs of all time, and nobody sings it.
You know, now that I think about it, I don't think I remember many of the songs, but I actually I remember watching it, and for some reason I don't like remember like a lot of the elements to the movie, because the only things that I really remember was the beginning scene when Robin Hood sort of just like hoodwinks the king, and
I love that.
by just like dressing up as like a what do you call it?
Fortune tellers.
Yeah, fortune teller. And then like he goes to like kiss his hand or whatever and just s- sucks out all the gems out of his
Sucks out all
ring.
the gems.
Like I thought
I
that was
love
really
that.
creative. And then yeah, and then the scene with the church when the guard like goes in to collect the taxes. Like I just thought that was like that definitely stood out, just like the injustice that was going on, and like he ends up like revolting against the guard, and then he ends up just like getting like captured and is gonna be hung for rebelling. Like that's like heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's a very heavy movie on a lot of the issues, and it kind of shows that just because something, is illegal doesn't mean it's wrong all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love the scene when it's Skippy's birthday, and the sheriff comes and takes their money, but then Robin Hood comes and gives him a bow and arrow in his hat, and I always cry just a little.
Oh, that's right. Doesn't he like dress up as like a like a poor person? He's
Yeah, a
like,
blind beggar.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I remember that. And then he like he just does that thing where he just throws a coin in the little can, and then all the other coins bounce out and he grabs them.
Yeah.
It's just so maniacal.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. I love it so much. Everyone knows I love it. I actually, because Disney a while ago has started like releasing figurines. I actually have one of Robin Hood and Maid Marian, and it's a pretty decent sized figurine too. But I love it so much.
I
Very
wish I
cool.
had more to say. I've seen Robin Hood like once, and it was a really, really long time ago.
We will watch it again.
Oh, okay.
Movie night. No, I'm sorry.
Yay.
No, it's okay. Hey, there are far worse things we could be doing than watching Robin Hood. I was gonna try and make that like a snarkier comeback, and I couldn't.
Fail.
Stop trying.
Suck a lemon.
But I think that's all I have to say on it. So
Okay, then that brings us up to the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
I think I kind of went over everything I want to earlier when I was talking about like the characters and stuff.
Yeah,
I
I kind of did.
don't have much to say because I remember watching Winnie the Pooh and the gang, but I don't remember if it was like a series or a movie. I just remember
Well, I think this
in
one.
general.
I think it was done in the same style as that series I was talking about, but it was, done up to be more of like a longer theatrical release. I believe this is the one where the blustery day comes from. I could be mistaken. But like
I think it is.
the thing about it though is that really any of the Winnie the Pooh movies, aside from commenting on specific scenes, what you say about one Winnie the Pooh movie could largely be said about the other. Not that that's a bad thing.
I just loved it in general because it was just so cute and
Yeah.
wholesome. It was really fun, and I loved the little adventures and little things they did, and like Ali said earlier about always including Eeyore.
I
Yeah.
actually had like a Winnie the Pooh like playhouse thing, not like a big playhouse, but like one of those little like fold out sets as a kid. and it was actually one of my favorite like dollhouse set things that I owned.
I just had these
I-
And
teeny
I
tiny
wish
little
I-
stuffed animals of them.
You know, now that you
I don't.
mentioned the. Oh, Sandra, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think I've ever actually had. I think I had a piglet plushie. I don't think I've ever. Other than that, though, I don't think I've ever had any, which is weird and sad to me.
Yeah, I think I remember like when I was really 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 young, I got like I think when I was like 4, I had like this like Winnie the Pooh like bathtub set, and yeah, when you mentioned your dollhouse, I, I that just made me think like, oh, I also had a Winnie the Pooh thing that was similar to that. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember the movie The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I just remember certain like scenes of it. Like I haven't watched it all the way through, but I just remember of like the was it the heffalump thing, the heffalump scene.
I'm not sure. I don't think that came from this one. I think that came from the series or from a different movie entirely.
Well, I know
Really?
heffalumps were prominent during the Piglet movie.
I think I know what he's talking about though. There's like this. I think it's like your first introduction to them, heffalumps and woozles. They do like a little song.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's the series I was talking about.
Oh.
Which
Wait, the
might
series? Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think the
it might
series.
just also be called The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me, because I don't remember like of it, but I could have sworn it like came out like during the. Maybe I'm not remembering things right. I don't have I don't have too
Well,
much authority here.
that's also kind of like the other thing though about Winnie the Pooh is a lot of it ends up running together. Again, like that's really only a bad thing in situations like this where we're trying to talk about specifics. In general, if you just have like this general warm, pleasant memory of Winnie the Pooh, that's fine. I don't know why a memory would be warm, but you know.
Yeah, I don't see like too much.
I'll see, because I did actually, like a month or two ago, like look up the series to try and just see if somebody had uploaded stuff online, so to like just watch it. I just wanted the nostalgia trip, honestly, and I thought it would be cute, and I was having trouble finding a lot of it. I found a couple episodes, I think, but not a lot. And like I said, I don't know if it's on Disney Plus. I feel like it isn't because I feel like if it was, I would have just been like, "Oh, time to cash in that 7-day free trial they promised me." Binge watch some Winnie the Pooh.
But yeah, I don't have like too much else to say other than I did have good memories with it.
Yeah, I think I kind of covered everything I wanted
Right.
to.
Oh,
Okay, then I
guess,
guess we're kind of done.
yeah, for part
For
one
now.
of our many
For now.
thousands of episodes long Disney series.
Heck yeah.
Huh.
I don't know about that, but yeah, it is probably gonna be a lot either way.
Yeah, well, that does it for our part one of the Disney series podcast. I might have to make this an entirely separate series from the rest of the podcasts. You know, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll make it completely separate because there's just going to be so many. Because Disney is such a huge thing all across the world.
Oh yeah.
So much
The
to cover.
Archives Disney Saga Part 1 of Unknown.
Right. Well, thanks for joining me,
Yeah,
guys. This was fun for this first part. I feel like this was a
yeah,
great
It was.
introduction.
Fun.
yeah.
And any if there's anything else you guys like to say, you could say it now.
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than this was good.
Oh yeah,
like talking
I-
for
about it.
sure.
I think anything I could say would be like a very conclusive thing that would really be better as like a closer for the whole like Disney thing as a whole. So I probably should just not. But like you can definitely see though, like we all had different experiences with everything and different levels of experience overall. But we all still had like Disney as part of our childhoods and we still found a lot of enjoyment in that.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think that just speaks to what Disney kind of wanted to do really about bringing people together,
Yeah.
even if there were problems along the way.
Oh, definitely. Well, I guess that does it for this video, everyone. If you stayed for long enough to watch the whole thing, thank you so much. We're at pretty much 3 hours long. If you stayed and you liked the video, please do drop a like. And if you have your own experiences with these movies we talked about, leave a comment in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell to be notified when I go live or when I upload next. I'll see you all in the next one.